Some men collect power, some men collect fear. Samuel Drake collected ghosts, and the night he saw Lena Vale flinch at the sound of her own name, he knew he was staring at one. What happens when a billionaire who built an empire on calculated risk decides the only thing worth gambling is someone else's life? When mercy becomes a weapon and salvation demands blood? This isn't a rescue story. This is a reckoning. Stay until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Because some truths, they need to spread like wildfire. The fluorescent lights in Rosie's diner had been dying for 3 years. Nobody fixed them because nobody cared, and the flicker had become part of the atmosphere, a nervous pulse that matched the 4 a.m. crowd. Truckers, insomniacs, people running from something or toward nothing. The kind of place where questions weren't asked because answers weren't wanted. Samuel Drake didn't belong there. His suit cost more than the diner's monthly revenue. His watch could have paid off the building's mortgage. But at 4:47 in the morning, sitting in a corner booth with cold coffee and a newspaper he wasn't reading, Samuel looked like a man trying to remember how to be invisible, trying and failing. The waitress approached with the pot, her name tag crooked. Lena. Her smile was the kind that happened in muscles, not eyes, a reflex so practiced it had stopped meaning anything. Warm that up for you? Samuel glanced up, saw the smile first, then the bruise. It was hidden well, makeup layered thick along her jaw, foundation that didn't quite match her skin tone catching the bad light at the wrong angle. Most people wouldn't notice. Most people weren't trained to see the things people worked hardest to conceal. Please, Samuel said. She poured. Her hands were steady until they weren't, a micro tremor that sent a single drop onto the saucer. She wiped it immediately, automatically, like mistakes had consequences. Sorry. Don't be. She moved to the next table. Samuel watched her reflection in the window, watched the way she kept her spine straight, her movements economical, watched her check the door every 90 seconds like clockwork, waiting for someone, dreading someone. Samuel knew the difference. His phone buzzed, a text from Marcus, his head of security. Meeting confirmed for 7. Takahashi's team is nervous. Samuel didn't respond. The acquisition could wait. The $70 million deal could wait. Everything could wait because he was watching a woman pour coffee like her life depended on getting it right. And something in his chest, something he'd buried 15 years ago under concrete and rage, was clawing its way back up. The door opened. Lena's shoulders locked. The coffee pot trembled in her hand. The man who walked in wore a security guard uniform that fit too tight across the shoulders. Ryder Cole. Late 20s, clean-shaven, the kind of handsome that photographed well and hid everything that mattered. He scanned the diner with proprietary ease, spotted Lena, and his face did something complicated. Affection wrapped around ownership, wrapped around warning. Hey, baby. Lena's smile reset itself. Hey, you're early. Shift ended. Ryder slid into a booth, spread his arms across the back of the seat, claiming territory. Thought I'd surprise you. That's sweet. The words came out smooth, practiced. You want the usual? What I want, Ryder's voice dropped, meant only for her but carrying anyway in the quiet diner, is for you to stop acting like I'm some customer. Come here. Lena set the coffee pot down, walked over. Ryder's hand caught her wrist, not violent, not gentle. Somewhere in between, where it could go either way, and everyone watching would have to decide what they saw. Samuel watched. Lena bent down. Ryder kissed her, hard enough to prove a point, long enough to make sure everyone saw who she belonged to. When he let her go, there was something in her eyes that lasted maybe 2 seconds before she blinked it away. Fear. Raw and immediate and completely familiar. Samuel's coffee had gone cold. He didn't touch it. He was 15 again, standing outside a locked bathroom door, listening to his sister cry and lie about falling. 17, watching her makeup get thicker, her excuses more elaborate. 19, standing at a grave that didn't have to exist, swearing oaths he couldn't keep because the man who'd killed her died with her in the crash. Accident, they'd called it. Escape attempt, Samuel knew. Same thing, in the end. Lena brought Ryder his food. Ryder watched her walk away, then pulled out his phone, his attention shifting like she'd stopped existing the moment she wasn't directly in front of him. The performance was over. The audience dismissed. Samuel stood, left 2 20s for a $6 check, walked past Ryder's table and dropped his business card next to the salt shaker where only Lena would see it. Outside, the November air cut through his suit. Newark before dawn was all sodium lights and distant sirens, the kind of cold that made your bones ache. Samuel's car, a black Mercedes that cost more than most houses, sat alone in the lot. Marcus would be furious he'd driven himself. Security protocols existed for a reason, but some things you had to do alone. Samuel sat in the driver's seat and didn't start the engine. He watched the diner through the plate glass window. Watched Lena clear tables, refill cups, laugh at something a trucker said. Watched her pick up his card when Ryder went to the bathroom. Watched her read it. Watched her hand shake. Watched her slip it into her apron pocket with the practiced stealth of someone who'd learned to hide things. Then Ryder came back and Lena's face went smooth again, and Samuel started the car. He made 3 calls on the drive back to Manhattan. The first was to Marcus. I need a full background check. Ryder Cole. Security guard. Works nights. Probably for a contract firm. I want employment history, financials, known associates, parking tickets, everything. When do you need it? Yesterday. Boss, I'll pay triple overtime. I want it thorough and I want it fast. The second call was to his lawyer. Rachel, I need you to walk me through the restraining order process in New Jersey. Not for me, for someone else. Rachel Chen had been handling Samuel's legal affairs for 8 years. She didn't ask questions she didn't need answered. Domestic situation? Potential. You have evidence? I'm working on it. Samuel. Rachel's voice shifted, went careful. Whatever you're thinking about doing, I'm thinking about helping someone who needs it. That's what worries me. You can't save everyone. I'm not trying to save everyone. He hung up before she could argue. The third call was to Dr. Sarah Chen at Bergen New Bridge Medical Center. Sarah owed him. Samuel's foundation had funded an entire domestic violence treatment wing. She answered on the second ring, groggy. This better be good, Drake. I need information, confidential, about identifying signs of ongoing abuse. Silence. Then, are you safe? It's not me. Are they safe? Not yet. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Come by the hospital, 8 o'clock. I'll walk you through what to look for. Samuel ended up not sleeping. He went to his penthouse overlooking Central Park, showered, changed into a different suit, and spent 2 hours reading case files Sarah emailed him. The patterns were depressingly consistent: isolation, financial control, escalating violence masked as jealousy or concern. The frog-boiling temperature of abuse, how it started small enough to explain away and grew until the person being hurt couldn't remember what normal felt like. By 7 a.m., Marcus had sent the preliminary report. Samuel read it standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, Manhattan waking up below him in layers of glass and steel. Ryder Cole, 28. Security guard for Sentinel Protection Services, low-tier contract work, casinos and warehouses. 2 complaints filed by previous girlfriends, both withdrawn. 1 arrest for assault, charges dropped when the victim recanted. Graduated high school in Patterson, no college. Credit score in the low 500s. 3 evictions in 5 years. A history of job hopping whenever supervisors mentioned his temper. The pattern was there, clear as daylight. A man who collected grievances and paid them out in private. Samuel called Marcus back. I need surveillance, discreet, on Ryder Cole and... He checked the report. Lena Vale. I want to know where they live, where they go, who they see. I want it documented. You want to tell me what this is about? No? Marcus sighed. You're going to do something reckless, aren't you? I'm going to do something necessary. Those aren't mutually exclusive. I know. By 8:30, Samuel was sitting in Sarah's office at the hospital, listening to her explain the mechanics of coercive control with the clinical precision of someone who'd seen it destroy too many lives. The bruises are just the evidence, Sarah said, pulling up photos on her tablet, anonymous case studies, faces blurred. The real damage is psychological. Abusers work by erosion. They take away your support system, your financial independence, your confidence. By the time the first punch lands, you're already convinced it's somehow your fault. Samuel studied the photos. How do you help someone who won't admit they need help? You don't, not directly. Sarah leaned back. You can offer resources, safety, but until they're ready to leave, pushing too hard just drives them back to the abuser. It's counterintuitive as hell, but it's the reality. So I'm supposed to just watch. You're supposed to be present, available, ready to act when they are. Sarah looked at him hard. This is about your sister, isn't it? Samuel didn't answer. Sam, you couldn't save Emily. That wasn't your fault. You were a kid. I'm not a kid anymore. No. You're a billionaire with a god complex who thinks money can fix everything. Sarah's voice gentled. Sometimes it can, but sometimes people need time more than they need rescue. Don't rob her of agency trying to save her. Samuel left the hospital with a folder full of resources and Sarah's warning echoing in his head. He went to the office. Drake Holdings occupied 18 floors in Midtown and tried to focus on business, the Takahashi acquisition, the quarterly reports, the board meeting scheduled for next week. He lasted 90 minutes before calling Marcus again. Tell me you have something. Marcus's voice was flat. They live together. Apartment in East Newark, Garden Street. Lease is in his name only. She doesn't have a car. Takes the bus to the diner, works the overnight shift 5 days a week. On her days off, she doesn't go anywhere. Nowhere? Nowhere. She stays in the apartment. Security footage from the building shows her leaving maybe once a week for groceries, always with him. Samuel felt something cold settle in his stomach. Friends? Family? No social media presence. Her phone records show exactly 3 regular contacts. The diner, Ryder, and a number registered to a Grace Vale in Seattle, mother probably. Isolated, controlled, trapped. What about him? Works nights, sleeps days, plays poker at a club in Harrison every Thursday, drinks at Murphy's Bar most Fridays. He's got friends, guys from work, poker buddies. Normal life. For him. Yeah, for him. Marcus paused. Boss, what are you planning? I don't know yet. That was a lie. Samuel knew exactly what he was planning. He just didn't know if it would work. He went back to the diner that night. Same booth. Same bad coffee. Different waitress until 11 when Lena's shift started. She saw him when she came out from the back, her eyes going wide for just a second before the professional mask slammed down. She didn't come to his table until almost midnight. More coffee? Please. She poured. Samuel watched her hands. Steadier tonight, but the bruise on her jaw had spread, darkened. The makeup couldn't hide it anymore. I wanted to make sure you got my card, Samuel said quietly. Lena's eyes flicked to the door, back to him. I did. Good. I don't need anything. I didn't say you did. Then why, She stopped, reset. Look, I appreciate whatever you think you're trying to do, but I'm fine. Okay. I am. I believe you. Lena's jaw tightened. Do you do this a lot? Rescue random waitresses? I don't rescue anyone. Samuel met her eyes. I offer resources. What people do with them is their choice. I don't need resources. Then throw the card away. Maybe I will. That's your right. Lena stared at him. Samuel saw the war happening behind her eyes. The part that wanted to believe against the part that knew better. The hope fighting the fear, fighting the habit of survival. Why do you care? She finally asked. Samuel thought about lying, about giving her some comfortable corporate philanthropy answer. But something in her face, raw and real and so tired, deserved better. Because a long time ago, I didn't, he said, and someone died because of it. The confession hung between them. Lena's hand tightened on the coffee pot. That's not fair, she whispered. No, it's not. You can't just... She stopped, swallowed. You don't know anything about me. I know you're scared. I know you're careful. I know you check the door every minute and a half like you're timing something you can't control. I know the bruise on your face is 4 days old and you've been using concealer that's 2 shades too light because you ran out of the good stuff and couldn't get to a store without him noticing. Lena went pale. Stop. I know you palmed my card like a poker player hiding an ace because you've learned how to keep secrets. I know. Stop. Her voice cracked. Just stop. Samuel stopped. Lena was shaking now, actually shaking, the coffee pot rattling against the cup. She set it down before she dropped it, her breath coming fast and shallow. "He's a good man," she said. Automatic, rote. "He just gets stressed sometimes. Work is hard and I could be better about—" "Lena, don't." She closed her eyes. "Please don't." Samuel reached into his jacket, pulled out an envelope, set it on the table. "This isn't money," he said. "It's information, resources, shelters, legal advocates, hotlines. Some of them are staffed 24/7. Some of them can help you make a safety plan even if you're not ready to leave yet. No pressure, no judgment, just options." "I can't—" "You don't have to do anything. But if you ever need it, it's there. And my number's in there too. Anytime. Day or night. If you need anything, a ride, a place to stay, legal help, medical help, just someone to talk to, you call me. No strings, no expectations." Lena stared at the envelope like it might explode. "I have to go," she whispered. "Okay." She left the envelope on the table, walked away. Samuel watched her disappear into the kitchen, watched her talk to the cook with animated hand gestures that looked almost normal if you didn't notice how her shoulders never quite relaxed. He left the envelope where it was. 3 hours later, when her shift ended and the diner was empty except for one drunk asleep in a corner booth, Samuel watched from his car as Lena came back to his table, watched her pick up the envelope, watched her look around like she was committing a crime, watched her slip it into her purse, watched Ryder's truck pull into the lot exactly on schedule, watched Lena come out to meet him with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, watched them drive away. Samuel sat in the dark parking lot until the sun started coming up and made another call. "Marcus, I need that surveillance, starting now. I want eyes on them 24/7. And I need you to get me everything you can on coercive control laws in New Jersey, restraining order requirements, what constitutes evidence, what doesn't. Boss, I'm not asking you to do anything illegal. I'm asking you to help me build a case." "A case for what?" "For when she's ready." Samuel went home, didn't sleep. Watched the surveillance footage Marcus's team started sending through. Watched Lena and Ryder's apartment building, a sagging 3-story walk-up that looked like it was held together by peeling paint and broken dreams. Watched Lena come home. Watched the lights in their second-floor window go on, go off, go on again at odd hours. Watched, 2 days later through the grainy long-lens camera footage, an argument play out in silhouette behind thin curtains. Watched Ryder's arm move, watched Lena flinch, watched her disappear from view, watched her reappear minutes later, moving carefully, like something hurt. Samuel's hands curled into fists. "Document everything," he told Marcus. "Timestamps, descriptions. I want a record. This feels like we're crossing a line. We're not crossing anything. We're preparing. For what?" For the moment when preparation is the only thing standing between her and a grave. The words came out harder than he meant them. Marcus was quiet. "Your sister," he finally said. "Emily, is that what this is?" "This is about making sure it doesn't happen again." "You can't save everyone, boss." "Everyone keeps saying that." Samuel's voice was ice. "I'm not trying to save everyone. I'm trying to save one person, and I'm going to." A week passed, then 2. Samuel went to the diner every few days. Never pushed, never asked questions, just sat in his booth, drank terrible coffee, left generous tips. Let Lena get used to him being there, being safe, being available. She never mentioned the envelope, but she stopped hiding the bruises as carefully, or maybe they were just getting harder to hide. The surveillance footage told a story Samuel wished he couldn't read so clearly. The pattern was textbook. Ryder's work schedule changed, mandatory overtime, someone said, and the stress bled into their apartment in the form of raised voices, slammed doors, long silences. Lena stopped going to the grocery store, started losing weight, moved like she was trying not to take up space, and Samuel watched, waited, prepared. He met with Rachel twice more, learned the legal framework inside and out, talked to Sarah about trauma responses and safety planning, built a network of resources, lawyers, therapists, safe houses, job placement services, called in favors, made promises, moved pieces on a board Lena didn't know existed. The third week, Ryder lost his job. Samuel found out before Ryder did. Marcus had contacts everywhere. Sentinel Protection was downsizing, cutting their least reliable contractors. Ryder was on the list. This is going to get worse, Marcus said when he delivered the news. I know. Financial stress, wounded pride, more time at home with her. I know. What do you want me to do? Be ready. That night, Samuel went to the diner. Lena looked like she hadn't slept in days. The bruise on her jaw had company now, a mark on her forearm shaped like fingers, another on her collarbone that her uniform collar almost hid. She poured his coffee without being asked. How are you? Samuel asked. Fine. Automatic. Lena. I'm fine. Her voice had an edge now, brittle. Really? Everything's fine. Great, actually. Never better. She was spiraling. Samuel could see it, the manic energy of someone holding too many lies together with duct tape and willpower. If you ever need... I know. I have your number. I have the whole... She stopped, glanced around, lowered her voice. I have the envelope. I read it. All of it. It's very thorough, very helpful, but I don't need it because everything is fine. Okay? It is. I believe you. Then why do you keep coming here? Samuel considered lying. The coffee's terrible, Tats. Despite everything, Lena almost smiled. It died fast, but it had been there. Real, just for a second. You're a strange man, Mr. Drake. Samuel. You're a strange man, Samuel. I've heard that before. Lena opened her mouth, closed it, looked at him with something that might have been gratitude or might have been desperation or might have been both. I should, she gestured vaguely. Tables. Of course. She walked away. Samuel watched her go, pulled out his phone, sent Marcus a message. Increased surveillance. Something's about to break. It broke 3 days later. Samuel was in a board meeting when his phone buzzed. He ignored it. It buzzed again. Again. He excused himself, stepped into the hallway. 12 missed calls from Marcus. He called back. Marcus answered before the first ring finished. You need to see this. See what? I'm sending you footage from an hour ago. The alley behind the diner. Samuel's blood went cold. Is she... She's alive. Barely. Boss, we need to move. Now. The video hit Samuel's phone. He watched it standing in the executive hallway, surrounded by glass and steel and people who thought power meant something. The footage was black and white, grainy, shot from a security camera across the street. The alley behind Rosie's diner. 2:47 p.m., Lena came out the back door, probably taking trash to the dumpster. Ryder was waiting. Samuel watched Ryder grab Lena's arm, watched her try to pull away, watched Ryder's other hand come up, close around her throat, watched Lena's feet leave the ground, watched her claw at his hands, watched her stop. Then another figure entered the frame. Baseball cap, jacket, moving fast. Samuel watched himself pull Ryder off Lena. Watched Ryder swing, watched himself dodge, counter, put Ryder on the ground in 3 moves that his Marine Corps hand-to-hand instructor would have been proud of, except Samuel hadn't been there. Marcus. We had a team watching, close protection. When Cole showed up, they made a call, intervened. Did anyone? Cops are on the way. Our guy's gone. Cole's still in the alley, unconscious, and she's... Samuel was already moving. Where is she? Hospital. St. Michael's. Our guy called an ambulance. I'm on my way. Samuel made it to the hospital in 17 minutes, found Lena in the ER, being examined by a doctor who looked at him with suspicious eyes when he said he was her employer. Family only. She doesn't have family in the area. Then you can wait outside. Samuel waited, paced, called Rachel. I need you to file for an emergency restraining order, tonight. I'll have medical documentation within the hour, and I need someone at the police station when Ryder Cole gets there. I want charges filed. Attempted murder if possible, assault at minimum. Samuel, slow down. I'm not slowing down. He tried to kill her, Rachel, in broad daylight, in public, and he would have if my security team hadn't been there. No more waiting, no more preparing. We move now. Rachel was quiet. Then, okay, send me everything you have. I'll make the calls. 2 hours later, a doctor came out. Young, tired, angry. She's stable. Bruised trachea, petechial hemorrhaging in her eyes, defensive wounds on her hands. She's lucky. Another 30 seconds and we'd be having a very different conversation. Can I see her? Are you Samuel Drake? Yes? She asked for you. Lena was in a curtained bay, sitting on an exam table with a blanket around her shoulders. Her throat was bruised purple. Her eyes were bloodshot. She looked small and broken and absolutely furious. Hey, Samuel said quietly. You had people watching me. Her voice was wrecked, barely a whisper. Yes. Why? Because I was waiting for this. For him to try to kill me. For you to need help you couldn't ask for. Lena's face crumpled. She pressed her hands to her eyes, shoulders shaking with silent sobs that looked like they hurt. Samuel stood there, didn't move, didn't reach for her. Just stood there and let her break because sometimes that's all you can do. When she could breathe again, Lena looked up at him with red, swollen eyes. I can't go back there. I know. I have nowhere to go. Yes, you do. Samuel, I have a property in Hoboken. Furnished. Secure. It's yours for as long as you need it. No rent, no conditions, just safety. I can't accept that. You can and you will. Unless you have a better option. Lena laughed. It sounded broken. I don't have any options. Then this is an easy decision. She stared at him, searching for the catch, the angle, the thing that would make sense of a stranger upending his life for her. Why are you doing this? Samuel thought about Emily, about standing at her grave swearing useless oaths, about 15 years of guilt that money couldn't buy away. Because someone should have done it for my sister, he said, and no one did. The truth hung between them, raw and real. Lena's eyes filled again. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry, just be safe. A nurse came in, police behind her. 2 detectives, a man and a woman, both looking at Lena with the kind of wary gentleness that meant they'd done this before. Miss Vale, we need to ask you some questions about what happened today. Lena looked at Samuel. He nodded. I'll be right outside, he said. He wasn't. He was on the phone with Rachel, coordinating. The restraining order was filed. Ryder was at the station, being processed. The charges were attempted murder. The medical evidence was damning. This is going to get complicated, Rachel warned. He's going to lawyer up. He's going to claim self-defense, say she attacked him first. Let him. We have surveillance footage. Footage you obtained through legal security measures designed to protect my employee from a known threat. She's not your employee. She is now. Retroactively. I'm hiring her as a consultant for Drake Holdings. Whatever salary keeps her above the poverty line and qualifies her for health insurance. Rachel sighed. You're impossible. I'm thorough. The police took an hour. When they finished, Lena looked hollowed out. Samuel drove her to the apartment in Hoboken, a penthouse loft he'd bought 3 years ago as an investment and never used. Exposed brick, floor-to-ceiling windows. The kind of space that cost more per month than Lena probably made in a year. She stood in the middle of it, still wrapped in the hospital blanket, looking lost. There's clothes in the closet, Samuel said. Toiletries in the bathroom. Food in the kitchen. The security code is written down by the door. Doorman downstairs is named Patrick. He knows you're coming, knows not to let anyone up without calling first. Samuel, you don't have to thank me. I don't know how to... Lena's voice broke. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Be safe. I don't remember what that feels like. Samuel's chest tightened. Then learn. You have time now. What if he's in custody? The restraining order will be served tomorrow. He can't come near you. What if he gets out? Then he'll have to go through me. Lena looked at him, really looked at him, seeing maybe for the first time that he meant it, every word. You barely know me. I know enough. What if I'm not worth it? What if I'm broken? Too broken? Then you'll heal. Samuel's voice was iron. But you're not broken. You're surviving. There's a difference. Lena stood there in the middle of luxury she'd never imagined, wrapped in a hospital blanket, throat bruised, eyes hollow, and something in her face shifted. The mask cracked. The performance ended. She started crying, real crying, huge gasping sobs that sounded like they were tearing her apart. Samuel didn't move, didn't try to fix it, just stood there and let her feel it all. When the storm passed, Lena wiped her face with the blanket. "I need to call my mom," she whispered. "Phone's on the counter." "She's going to freak out." "Let her." Lena almost smiled. "You don't know my mother." "I know mothers. They're allowed to freak out." Lena made the call. Samuel stepped onto the balcony to give her privacy, looked out over Hoboken and the Manhattan skyline beyond. His phone buzzed. Marcus. Cole made bail. $50,000. Posted by someone named Garrett Cole. Brother, probably. Samuel's jaw tightened. "Where is he now?" Went back to the apartment. Cameras show him packing a bag. "He's moving. Keep eyes on him. I want to know everywhere he goes." "You think he'll come after her?" "I think he's not done. People like him never are." Samuel stayed until Lena fell asleep on the couch, exhausted past the point where fear could keep her awake. He left his number on the counter, left instructions for the doorman, left money in an envelope marked groceries that he knew she wouldn't take, but he left anyway. Then he went home and didn't sleep, because Ryder Cole was out there, angry, humiliated, violent, and Samuel knew, the way you know things in your bones and your blood, that this wasn't over. It was barely beginning. The restraining order was served the next morning. Ryder signed it with his lawyer present, played the part of the wronged boyfriend perfectly. Told the cops it was all a misunderstanding, that Lena was unstable, had attacked him first, that he was the real victim here. The cops didn't buy it. The medical evidence was too clear. But the judge set a court date, and Ryder walked out, free, except for the order keeping him 500 feet from Lena. Like paper could stop what was coming. Samuel spent the next week building walls. Legal walls, financial walls, physical walls. He moved Lena's few possessions from the apartment she'd shared with Ryder, what little was hers to begin with. Set up bank accounts in her name only. Connected her with a therapist who specialized in trauma. Gave her space but made sure she knew he was there. And watched. The surveillance footage told a story. Ryder falling apart. Losing hours at the bar. Racking up debts. His brother Garrett, ex-military, security contractor, the kind of man who solved problems with force, started showing up. They talked in parking lots. In Garrett's truck. Conversations the long-range mics couldn't quite capture, but the body language screamed violence. "They're planning something," Marcus said. "I know. We should tell the police." "Tell them what? That two brothers are having conversations? That you have a bad feeling?" "Police don't act on feelings. They act on evidence." "Then we wait until there's evidence?" Samuel looked at the footage, at Ryder's face twisted with rage, at Garrett's cold calculation. "No," he said. "We prepare for when evidence becomes aftermath." The call came at 2 a.m. on a Thursday. Lena's voice shaking. "Samuel, there's someone outside. I can see them from the window. A truck. It's been there for an hour." Samuel was out of bed, dressed, moving. "Lock the door. Don't go near the windows. I'm calling the police right now." "What if—" "Do it. Now." He called 911. Called building security. Called Marcus. "Get a team to Hoboken. Now. And pull the footage from outside Lena's building." By the time Samuel got there, the police were already talking to Lena. The truck was gone. No evidence except her word. "Probably nothing," one cop said, condescending. "You're understandably on edge, but—" "Pull the security footage," Samuel interrupted. "Sir, we can't just—" "I own the building. Pull the footage." They pulled it, sure enough. Garrett Cole's truck, parked across the street, windows dark, sitting there for 90 minutes before driving away, minutes before the police arrived. "That's a violation of the restraining order," Samuel said. "His brother is acting as his proxy." "We can't prove that." "The truck is registered to Garrett Cole. Ryder Cole has a restraining order. Connect the dots." "It's not illegal to park on a public street." Samuel felt his control slipping. "He's stalking her. He's sitting in a truck. He's hunting her." The cop's face hardened. "Sir, I understand you're concerned, but unless Mr. Cole actually does something, by then she'll be dead." The words came out cold, hard. The cop flinched. "We'll increase patrols in the area," he said finally. "That's all we can do." Samuel stood in Lena's apartment after the police left, watching her shake. "They're not going to help, are they?" she whispered. "Not until it's too late." "So what do I do?" Samuel looked at her, looked at the fear that had become her constant companion. looked at the future stretching out, court dates, lawyers, restraining orders that meant nothing to men who thought women were property, and made a decision. You let me handle it. Samuel, I'm not letting you die, Lena. Whatever it takes. Whatever I have to do. He doesn't get to win. Lena's eyes filled. That's not your responsibility. Yes, Samuel said quietly. It is. Because 15 years ago, he'd stood at his sister's grave and sworn an oath he couldn't keep. But this time he would, even if it destroyed him. The next morning, Samuel called in every favor he had and started preparing for war. War, Samuel had learned in the Marines, wasn't about the first shot. It was about preparation, intelligence, knowing your enemy better than they knew themselves. And when you couldn't win clean, you won dirty. He started with money. Ryder Cole's finances were a mess. Maxed credit cards, payday loans stacking on payday loans, collection agencies circling like vultures. Samuel bought the debt. All of it. $32,000 spread across 9 creditors, purchased for pennies on the dollar through shell companies that couldn't be traced back to Drake Holdings. Then he called it in. You can't do that, Rachel said when he told her. It's legal technically, but it's vindictive as hell. He tried to murder someone I care about. And you're using your resources to financially destroy him. You see how that looks? I see how it works. Samuel's voice was flat. He needs money. Money creates desperation. Desperation creates mistakes. Mistakes create evidence. Or it creates violence. Then we'll be ready for the violence. Rachel was quiet for a long moment. You're not wrong, but you're not right either. This path you're walking, I know what path I'm walking. Do you? Because from here it looks like revenge dressed up as protection. Call it whatever you want, I'm not stopping. He wasn't. Samuel set up a network around Lena that was invisible but absolute. Private security rotating shifts outside her building. Cameras installed in the hallway, the lobby, the parking garage. Her phone cloned to a secure server that backed up every call, every text, every GPS ping. Marcus coordinated it all with military precision, former Special Forces operators who knew how to be ghosts. This is going to cost you $500,000 a month, Marcus said. I don't care. Boss, I said I don't care. Do it. Lena didn't know about most of it. She knew about Patrick the doorman, knew about the security system Samuel had installed in the apartment, knew he was paying her a salary for consulting work that didn't exist. She didn't know about the men watching from unmarked cars, didn't know her phone was monitored, didn't know Samuel was systematically dismantling Ryder's life piece by piece. She didn't need to know. What she needed was to heal. Samuel watched it happen in increments. The first week, Lena barely left the couch, slept 16 hours a day, woke up screaming from nightmares she wouldn't talk about. The therapist, Dr. Nina Okonkwo, trauma specialist, the best Samuel could find, came to the apartment 3 times a week because Lena couldn't handle leaving yet. The second week, Lena started eating again, started showering, started looking at the windows without flinching. The third week, she asked Samuel a question that nearly broke him. Why do you keep coming here? They were sitting on opposite ends of the couch. Samuel had brought dinner, Thai food from a place in Manhattan that didn't exist in Hoboken. Lena was picking at pad Thai like she'd forgotten how to be hungry. To check on you, Samuel said. You could call. I could. But you don't. No. Lena set down her fork, looked at him with eyes that were clearer now, sharper. The fog of trauma lifting enough to see the world around her. You feel guilty, she said. About your sister. Samuel's jaw tightened. Yes. And you think saving me saves her somehow. No, I know I can't save her. She's dead. Then what is this? Samuel met her eyes. This is me not failing twice. The honesty landed between them like a grenade. Lena's face did something complicated. Anger and pity and understanding all fighting for space. That's not fair to either of us, she said quietly. I know. I'm not your sister. I know that too. Then stop treating me like a ghost you're trying to exorcise. Samuel felt something crack in his chest. I'm trying to keep you alive. Why? Lena's voice rose. Why do you care? You don't know me. You didn't know me when you dropped that card on my table. You didn't know me when you paid for this apartment. You don't know me now, so why? Because someone should. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Lena stood up, paced to the window, wrapped her arms around herself like she was holding something in. I'm not a charity case, she said to the glass. I never said you were. Then what am I? Your employee, your project, your penance? You're someone who deserves better than what you got. And you get to decide that? Someone has to. Lena spun around. No, someone doesn't. I get to decide. Me. Not you, not some billionaire savior complex. Me. Samuel stood slowly. You're right. What? You're right. This is your life, your choice. If you want me gone, I'm gone. If you want to handle this yourself, I'll step back. But I'm not going to apologize for giving you options. Options you chose. Better than the option you had. Lena's face flushed. You don't get to... He was killing you. Samuel's voice went cold. Slowly, systematically, killing you. And you were letting him because you didn't think you had a choice. I gave you one. If that makes me a controlling asshole, fine. I'm a controlling asshole. But you're alive. The silence stretched between them, taut and dangerous. Get out, Lena whispered. Samuel grabbed his coat, walked to the door, stopped. For what it's worth, he said without turning around, I don't think you're broken. I think you're the strongest person I've ever met. Because you survived something that should have destroyed you, and now you get to decide what comes next. Not me, not him, you. He left before she could respond, stood in the hallway trying to remember how to breathe. His phone buzzed. Marcus, we have a problem. Samuel's blood went cold. What kind of problem? Garrett Cole just purchased a handgun. Legally. Background check came back clean. When? 2 hours ago. And boss? Ryder was with him. Samuel closed his eyes. Fuck, he called Rachel. I need the restraining order enforced. Now. Evidence of violation. What evidence? The surveillance footage from last week. Garrett acting as Ryder's proxy. It's enough. It's circumstantial at best. Then make it better. File a motion. Get a hearing. Put pressure on them. Samuel, the court doesn't move that fast. Then make it move. I don't care what it costs. I don't care who you have to call. Make it happen. He hung up. Called Marcus back. I want surveillance on Garrett now. Same level as Ryder. And I want to know every person they talk to, every place they go. If they buy bullets, I want to know the caliber. Already on it. But boss, what? They know they're being watched. Garrett, especially. He's trained for this. He's checking for tails, varying his routes, using burner phones. He's not sloppy. Then we get unsloppy. There's only so much we can do legally. Samuel was quiet for a long moment. Then we do what we have to do. Boss, I'm not letting them hurt her, Marcus, whatever it takes. The line went dead. Samuel stood in the hallway of a building he owned, wearing a suit that cost more than most cars, and felt the weight of every decision he'd made in the last month pressing down on him. This was the edge, the line between protection and obsession, between helping and controlling, between justice and revenge. He'd already crossed it. Might as well keep walking. The next morning, Lena called him. I'm sorry, she said. No preamble. About last night, I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize. I do. You've done nothing but help me, and I threw it in your face. You were honest. I respect that. Lena was quiet. Can you come over? When? Now? Samuel was there in 20 minutes. Lena answered the door looking small in an oversized sweater, her hair pulled back, face scrubbed clean of makeup. The bruises on her throat had faded to yellow-green. Healing. I need to ask you something, she said, and I need you to tell me the truth. Okay. Are you in love with me? Samuel blinked. What? Dr. Okonkwo said I should ask. She said the dynamic here is complicated, and I need to understand what I'm dealing with. So I'm asking, are you in love with me? Samuel looked at her. At this woman he barely knew but had restructured his life around, and told the truth. No. Lena's shoulders relaxed. Okay, good. That makes this easier. Makes what easier? Asking you to back off a little. She held up a hand before he could respond. Not completely. I still need help. I still need the apartment, the security, the lawyer, but I need space to figure out who I am when I'm not terrified. And I can't do that if you're here every day treating me like I'm going to shatter." Samuel felt something twist in his chest. "I'm not—" "You are. I know you mean well. I know you're trying to help. But Samuel, I've spent 2 years with someone controlling every aspect of my life. I can't go from that to this, even if this is safer, even if it's healthier. I need to make my own choices, even stupid ones. I'm not trying to control you. I know, but you're trying to protect me from everything, and I need to learn how to protect myself." Samuel stood there, every instinct screaming to argue, to explain, to justify. But he looked at Lena's face, determined, scared, brave, and realized she was right. "Okay," he said. "Okay. I'll back off. You call me when you need something, otherwise I'll stay away." "I don't want you to stay away completely, just—" "I understand." Lena's eyes filled. "I'm not ungrateful. I know. And I'm not trying to push you away. I know that too. I just need to breathe." Samuel nodded, then breathe. He left. Drove back to Manhattan, sat in his office overlooking the city, and felt like he was drowning. Rachel found him there an hour later. "You look like hell," she said. "Thanks. The hearing is scheduled, next Tuesday. Judge Morrison. She's fair, doesn't tolerate violations." "Good." Rachel sat down across from him. "You want to tell me what's wrong?" "Lena asked me to back off." "And you're surprised?" "No, I'm—" Samuel stopped. "I don't know what I am." "You're a man who's been using someone else's trauma to avoid dealing with his own." Rachel's voice was gentle but firm. "You need to talk to someone, Sam. A professional, not me, not Marcus. Someone who can help you process what happened to Emily." "I've processed it." "Have you? Because from where I'm sitting, you've buried it under money and power and a savior complex the size of Manhattan." Samuel's jaw tightened. "I'm helping someone." "You're helping yourself feel less guilty. There's a difference." "That's not fair. Life's not fair. Emily's dead and you're still punishing yourself for it. And now you found someone else to save because you couldn't save her. But Lena's not Emily. And you're not the 19-year-old kid who couldn't stop what happened. You're a grown man with resources and power, and you're using both to fight a battle that's already over." "The battle's not over. Ryder's still out there." "And you have lawyers, security, a restraining order, police involvement. You've done everything right. But it's not enough, is it? Because doing the right thing doesn't make you feel better. Only total control does." Samuel stared at her. "When did you become a therapist?" "When my best client started spiraling." Rachel leaned forward. "I'm worried about you. You're not sleeping. You're not eating. You're spending every waking moment obsessing over this situation. That's not healthy. She could die. So could you. Heart attack, stroke, exhaustion. You're running yourself into the ground for someone who just asked you to back off." "I can't just—" "Yes, you can. You can trust the system you've built. You can trust her to know what she needs. You can trust that you've done enough." "What if I haven't?" "Then you haven't, but you can't save everyone, Sam, and trying to will kill you." Rachel left. Samuel sat in his office as the sun set over Manhattan, turning the glass towers into pillars of fire. His phone buzzed. Marcus. Ryder and Garrett met with someone at Murphy's bar. Malcolm Torres. Enforcer for the Cicero crew. Organized crime. Samuel's blood went cold. "You're sure?" "Ran facial recognition. It's him." They talked for 40 minutes. Money changed hands. "How much?" "Couldn't tell. But enough to fit in a briefcase." Samuel stood up, started pacing. "What do they need an enforcer for?" 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count. They're planning something. Or they already did. Torres specializes in making problems disappear. People problems. Samuel felt his heart rate spike. Called Lena. No answer. Called again. Voicemail. "Marcus, get someone to her apartment. Now." "Already dispatched. ETA 3 minutes." Samuel was moving, grabbed his coat, his keys, his phone, ran for the elevator. "Boss, wait for confirmation." "No." He made it to Hoboken in 14 minutes, ran 3 red lights. didn't care. The security team met him in the lobby. "She's fine," the team leader said. Phone was on silent. She's watching TV. Samuel sagged against the wall. "You're sure?" "We checked. She's fine." Samuel's hands were shaking. He pressed them against his thighs, tried to breathe. "Boss?" The team leader looked concerned. "You okay?" "I'm fine." He wasn't fine. He went home, took a sleeping pill, lay in bed staring at the ceiling until consciousness finally gave up and dragged him under. The dreams were bad. Emily. The funeral. Standing at her grave, knowing he should have seen it coming, should have done something, should have been better, stronger, faster. He woke up at 3 a.m. covered in sweat. His phone was ringing. Lena. "Samuel?" Her voice was small, scared. "I'm sorry to call so late. I know I said I needed space, but I can't sleep. I keep thinking about him, about Garrett, about what they're planning. I'm here. Can you—" She stopped. "Never mind. This is stupid. What do you need?" "I just needed to hear your voice, to know you're real, that this is real, that I'm not—" "You're not crazy. You're safe. I promise." "How can you promise that?" "Because I won't let anything happen to you. You can't control everything. Watch me." Lena laughed. It sounded wet. Dr. Okonkwo would say that's an unhealthy mindset. Dr. Okonkwo isn't wrong, but you're going to do it anyway. Yes. Lena was quiet. "Thank you." "For what?" "For being honest, for not pretending this is normal, for being there. I'll always be there." "Samuel, I know, space, I get it, but if you need me, I'm here, always. Okay? Get some sleep. You too." "I will." He didn't. The hearing happened on Tuesday. Judge Morrison was in her 60s, sharp-eyed, with the kind of face that had seen everything and been impressed by nothing. She read through the motion, reviewed the evidence, and looked at Ryder with the expression of someone who'd scraped him off her shoe. "Mr. Cole, you understand the terms of the restraining order?" "Yes, Your Honor." Ryder was wearing a suit, looking respectable, playing the part. "And you understand that any violation, direct or through a third party, is grounds for arrest?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Then explain to me why your brother was parked outside Ms. Vale's residence for 90 minutes. Ryder's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, there's no evidence my client directed his brother to—" "Sit down, Mr. Patterson. I'm talking to your client." The lawyer sat. Ryder cleared his throat. "Your Honor, I can't control what my brother does. If he wanted to check on Lena, Ms. Vale. On Ms. Vale, that's his choice. I didn't ask him to. I didn't know he was going to." "You expect me to believe that?" "It's the truth, Your Honor." Judge Morrison looked at him for a long moment. "Mr. Cole, I've been on this bench for 23 years. I've seen men like you walk through my courtroom more times than I can count. Men who think they own women. Men who think rules don't apply to them. Men who are very, very good at playing the victim when consequences come calling." Ryder's face went blank. "Your Honor, I'm not finished. The evidence presented shows a clear pattern of harassment. The medical records show attempted murder. The only reason you're not in prison right now is because the district attorney is building a case that will stick. So here's what's going to happen. The restraining order stays in place. The terms are expanded to include any third party acting on your behalf. If I see you, your brother, or anyone connected to you within 1,000 feet of Ms. Vale, you will be arrested immediately. Do I make myself clear?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Get out of my courtroom." Ryder left. His lawyer followed. Rachel leaned over to Samuel. "That went better than expected." "He's not going to stop." "The judge put the fear of God in him. He's not going to stop," Samuel repeated. "Look at his face." Through the courtroom windows, Ryder was standing on the steps. His expression was blank, empty, the look of a man who'd stopped caring about consequences. "We need more security," Samuel said. "You already have a small army watching her. It's not enough." "Samuel, it's not enough." That night, Marcus called with news that made Samuel's blood run cold. "Torres is gone." "What do you mean, gone?" "I mean he disappeared, left town. His apartment is cleared out. His car's gone. He's in the wind." "When?" "Yesterday, right after the hearing." "Fuck." Samuel started pacing. He's running. That means whatever they paid him for is done. Or he's getting ready to do it. Find him. I'm trying, but if he doesn't want to be found, find him anyway. I don't care what it costs. Samuel called Lena. Pack a bag. What? Why? You're moving. Tonight. Samuel, what's going on? I'll explain when I get there. Pack. Now. He picked her up 40 minutes later. Drove her to a property in Connecticut, a estate he'd bought under a shell corporation, completely off the books. Cameras, gates, security that made the Hoboken apartment look like a public park. This is insane, Lena said, staring at the mansion. I can't stay here. You can, and you will. For how long? Until this is over. And when will that be? Samuel didn't answer. Lena turned to look at him. Samuel, you're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. What happened? They hired someone, a professional, someone who makes people disappear. Lena went pale. You can't know that. I know enough. So what? I'm supposed to hide here forever? Until they make a move. Until we have enough evidence to put them away. This is crazy. This is survival. Lena stared at him. You're losing it. I'm being cautious. You're being paranoid. They tried to kill you once. They'll try again. And you're going to protect me by locking me in a fortress? If that's what it takes. This isn't protection, Samuel. This is a prison. The word hit him like a slap. It's not. Yes, it is. A nicer prison than the one I was in before, but still a prison. And you're the warden. I'm trying to keep you alive. By taking away my life? Better than the alternative. Lena's eyes filled. Is it? Because from where I'm standing, I traded one cage for another. Different bars, different keeper, same result. That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair, Lena's voice cracked. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for you to blow up your life for me. I didn't ask to be your penance project. I just wanted to survive, and you made it into this whole thing, this war. And now I'm supposed to hide while you fight it? What else do you want me to do? Let me go. The words hung between them. What? Samuel's voice was barely a whisper. Let me go. Let me figure this out myself. Let me make my own choices, even if they're wrong, even if they get me hurt. Because this, she gestured at the mansion, at him, at everything. This isn't living. This is just surviving in a different way. If I let you go, you'll die. Maybe. Maybe not. But at least it'll be my choice. Samuel felt something breaking inside him. I can't. Why not? Because I already watched someone I care about die. I'm not doing it again. I'm not her. I know. Then stop trying to save her through me. Samuel's vision blurred. I don't know how to let go. Learn. Lena's voice was gentle now, sad. Learn, or this will destroy both of us. Samuel stood there in the driveway of a mansion he'd bought for a war that might not exist, looking at a woman he barely knew but would die for, and realized she was right. He was fighting ghosts, and ghosts always won. Okay, he said finally. Okay, I'll back off, completely. You want to go back to Hoboken? Go back. You want to handle this yourself? Handle it. I'll keep the security in place because I'm not reckless, but I won't interfere. I won't control. I won't. His voice broke. I won't make you live in a cage. Lena stepped forward, hugged him. Samuel stood stiff for a moment, then wrapped his arms around her and held on like she was the only thing keeping him anchored to earth. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me, just stay alive. I'll try. They drove back to Hoboken in silence. Samuel walked her to her door, started to leave. Samuel? He turned. I know you're trying. I know this is hard for you, and I'm grateful for all of it, even the crazy parts. The crazy parts especially? Lena smiled. Especially those. Samuel managed to smile back. Good night, Lena. Good night. He left, went home, poured himself a scotch he didn't drink. His phone rang. Marcus. We found Torres. Samuel's heart stopped. Where? Newark, outside Rosie's diner. He's watching it. Watching what? Not what. Who? Lena's old boss just posted the schedule for next week. She's listed. She doesn't work there anymore. Torres doesn't know that. He thinks she does. He's setting up surveillance, learning patterns. Boss, I'm on my way. Wait for backup. Samuel hung up. He drove to Newark, parked 3 blocks from the diner, called Marcus back. Where is he? Black sedan, north side of the lot. Samuel saw it. Saw Torres sitting in the driver's seat, watching the diner through night vision binoculars. Planning. Hunting. Samuel's hand went to his phone. He should call the police, should let them handle it, should do this the right way. But the right way was slow, and slow got people killed. He made a decision, got out of his car, walked across the parking lot, knocked on Torres's window. The man inside looked up, eyes widening, hand going for something. Samuel moved first, yanked the door open, grabbed Torres by the collar, dragged him out of the car before he could reach whatever weapon he was going for. They hit the pavement hard. Torres was trained, military probably, and he fought back. Landed a punch that split Samuel's lip, went for his eyes. Samuel blocked, countered, drove his elbow into Torres's ribs, heard something crack. Torres gasped, went for a knife in his boot. Samuel saw it coming, kicked his hand, the knife skittered away. Who hired you? Samuel's voice was ice. Torres spit blood. Fuck you. Samuel hit him. Who hired you? Go to hell. Another hit. Was it Ryder? Garrett? Both? Torres's nose was broken now. Blood everywhere. You're dead. You know that. You're fucking dead. Answer the question. They'll kill her. They'll kill you. They'll... Samuel's hand closed around Torres's throat. Who? Hired. You. Torres's eyes bulged, started to panic. Samuel squeezed. Stop! The voice came from behind him. Police, let him go. Samuel froze. Looked up. 3 cops. Guns drawn. Let him go and step back. Now! Samuel released Torres, raised his hands, stood up slowly. He was planning to kill someone, Samuel said. That's not for you to decide. On the ground. Samuel got on the ground. They cuffed him, read him his rights, took him to the station while paramedics loaded Torres into an ambulance, and Samuel sat in an interrogation room, hands cuffed to a table, and realized what he'd done. He'd crossed the line. All the way. No going back now. The door opened. A detective walked in, 50s, tired eyes, the kind of cop who'd seen everything twice. Samuel Drake, billionaire, philanthropist, and now apparently vigilante. The detective sat down. Want to tell me what the hell you were thinking? Samuel looked at him. I was thinking about keeping someone alive. By beating a man half to death. By stopping a man who was planning to murder her. You have proof of that? He was conducting surveillance, had night vision equipment, was watching her place of work. That's not illegal. He's a known enforcer. He was paid by the men who are stalking her. Again, proof? Samuel said nothing. The detective leaned back. Here's what I see. I see a rich man who thinks he's above the law, who thinks he can dish out justice however he wants because he's got money and connections. And I see a man in a hospital with 3 broken ribs, a fractured orbital, and a whole lot of motivation to press charges. He was going to kill her. Prove it. I can't. Then you just assaulted someone for no reason. That's battery. Maybe attempted murder if Torres's lawyer is good enough. Samuel's stomach dropped. You want to call your lawyer? The detective asked. Yes. Smart move. They let him use his phone. Samuel called Rachel. She answered on the first ring. Please tell me you didn't do what Marcus says you did. I did. Samuel. He was there, watching, planning. You couldn't let the police handle it? You couldn't trust the system you spent a month building? You had to go full vigilante. Yes. Rachel was quiet. I'll be there in an hour. Don't say anything until I arrive. Rachel, not one word. She hung up. Samuel sat in the interrogation room alone, hands cuffed, lips split, knuckles bleeding, and realized what he'd become. The thing he'd been running from since Emily died. A man who thought he could control fate. A man who thought he could save everyone if he just tried hard enough, fought hard enough, cared hard enough. A man who was willing to destroy himself to avoid feeling helpless again. The door opened. Not Rachel. Lena. She looked at him through the one-way glass, her face a mask of shock and disappointment, and something that might have been pity. Their eyes met, and Samuel saw the truth. He hadn't saved her. He'd dragged her into his war, and now they were both going to pay for it. They didn't let Lena into the interrogation room. She stood outside the glass, and Samuel sat inside, and between them was a barrier that might as well have been made of everything he'd broken. The detective came back, sat down, slid a folder across the table. Malcolm Torres is pressing charges. Battery, assault with intent to cause serious bodily harm. He's also filing a civil suit for $2 million. The detective opened the folder. You want to know the fun part? He's got 3 witnesses who say you attacked him unprovoked. Bar patrons from Murphy's who happened to be in the parking lot. Samuel's jaw tightened. They're lying. Prove it. I have surveillance from cameras you installed without permits, monitoring a man who wasn't under investigation, gathering evidence through what my captain is calling technically legal stalking. You want to use that in court? Be my guest. See how that plays. Samuel felt the walls closing in. He was planning to kill someone. You keep saying that. I keep asking for proof. You keep not having any. The door opened. Rachel walked in looking like she wanted to murder someone and that someone was Samuel. My client won't be answering any more questions, she said. Your client just confessed to assault. My client was defending someone from a credible threat. What threat? The man was sitting in his car. The man is a known enforcer with connections to organized crime who was conducting surveillance on my client's employee. The detective raised an eyebrow. Ms. Vale works for Drake Holdings? As of 3 weeks ago, yes. Doing what exactly? Rachel didn't miss a beat. Consulting on hospitality acquisition projects. Mr. Drake is expanding into the restaurant sector. It was bullshit, and everyone in the room knew it, but it was bullshit that sounded legitimate enough to create reasonable doubt. The detective looked at Samuel. You're going to hide behind corporate speak? I'm going to protect my employee by any means necessary. Even if it means breaking the law? Samuel met his eyes. Yes. Rachel closed her eyes. Detective, if you're charging my client, charge him. Otherwise, we're leaving. He's free to go, for now, but Torres's statement is being processed. The DA will decide whether to file charges within 48 hours. We'll be waiting. They walked out. Rachel didn't speak until they were in her car, doors closed, engine running. Then she exploded. What the fuck were you thinking? I don't care what he was doing. You assaulted someone, in public, with witnesses. Do you understand what you've done? You didn't stop anything. You gave Ryder and Garrett exactly what they wanted. You out of the picture, facing criminal charges. Your credibility destroyed. Jesus, Samuel, for someone so smart, you're being incredibly stupid. Samuel's hands were shaking. I couldn't just sit there and watch. Yes, you could. That's exactly what you should have done. Called the police. Let them handle it. But no, you had to be the hero. Had to prove you're not helpless. And now you're facing battery charges and a civil suit that could tie you up in court for years. I don't care about the money. It's not about the money. It's about the pattern. You're spiraling. Everyone can see it except you. Samuel looked out the window. Newark at night was all shadows and broken streetlights. Where's Lena? Police station? Waiting. They wouldn't let her see you. Take me to her. Samuel, please. Rachel drove. They found Lena sitting on a bench outside the station, wrapped in a jacket too thin for November, looking small and lost. She stood up when she saw Samuel. Her face was unreadable. Are you okay? She asked. I'm fine. You're bleeding. Samuel touched his lip. The cut had opened again. It's nothing. Nothing. Lena's voice was flat. You assaulted someone and it's nothing. He was going to hurt you. You don't know that. I know enough. Based on what? Surveillance? Assumptions? Your gut feeling? Lena's voice rose. You nearly killed a man based on a hunch, Samuel. Do you understand how insane that is? I was protecting you. I didn't ask you to. The words echoed in the quiet street. I didn't ask you to fight my battles, Lena continued, her voice breaking. I didn't ask you to go to war. I asked you to back off, to give me space, to let me handle this. And you couldn't do it. You couldn't trust me to know what I need. You needed protection. I needed autonomy, and you took it away. Samuel felt something crumbling inside him. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't undo what you did. Sorry doesn't. Lena stopped, pressed her hands to her face. When she spoke again, her voice was quieter, colder. I think you should stay away from me. The words hit like a bullet. Lena, I mean it. No more security. No more surveillance. No more saving me from threats that might not even exist. I want my life back, whatever that looks like. If I back off, Ryder will, maybe not. But that's my risk to take. I can't. You don't have a choice. Lena looked at him with eyes that were done. Just done. You've spent so much energy trying to control this situation that you became part of the problem. Another man making decisions for me. Another man who thinks he knows what's best. And I can't do that again. I won't. Rachel stepped forward. Lena, I understand you're upset, but the threat is real. Ryder and Garrett hired Torres for a reason. Then let the police handle it. Let the lawyers handle it. Let the system handle it. But Samuel needs to stop. The system doesn't always work. Then maybe I die. Lena's voice was ice. But at least I die free. She walked away. Samuel started to follow. Rachel grabbed his arm. Let her go. I can't. You have to. Samuel watched Lena disappear into the night, felt something breaking that he didn't know how to fix. She's wrong, he said quietly. Is she? Torres was there. He was watching, planning. And now he's in a hospital bed playing victim while you're the aggressor. You proved her point, Sam. You took away her choice. I saved her life. Did you? Or did you just make yourself feel less helpless? Samuel didn't answer. Rachel drove him home. Samuel sat in his penthouse surrounded by glass and steel and emptiness and called Marcus. Pull the security. Boss? All of it. The surveillance, the protection detail, everything. Shut it down. That's a mistake. It's what she wants. It's what she wants right now. When Ryder comes for her, then we'll deal with it. But I'm not controlling her life anymore. Marcus was quiet. You're making a mistake. Add it to the list. Samuel hung up, sat in the dark, didn't sleep. At 6 a.m., his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Drake? Mr. Drake. The voice was smooth, educated, wrong. My name is Martin Cross. I represent the Cole family. Samuel's blood went cold. What do you want? To extend an olive branch. My clients are willing to drop all legal action against Ms. Vale in exchange for your complete withdrawal from the situation. Your clients tried to murder her. My clients maintain their innocence. But in the interest of avoiding further conflict, they're prepared to leave Ms. Vale alone permanently. Restraining order remains in place. No contact, no harassment. They move on with their lives. She moves on with hers. In exchange for what? You drop the civil suits. You cease all surveillance and investigation. You make a public statement that this was a misunderstanding blown out of proportion, and you stay out of their lives. And if I refuse, then things get complicated. Torres's charges proceed. The civil suit proceeds, and my clients have information that could be very damaging to you personally. Samuel's hand tightened on the phone. What information? Let's call it leverage, insurance, proof that your involvement in this situation goes beyond protecting an employee, proof that could be very embarrassing if it became public. You're bluffing. Am I? Tell me, Mr. Drake, how would it look if certain financial transactions came to light? Shell companies purchasing debts, surveillance equipment installed without proper authorization, private investigators following American citizens without cause. The optics alone would be devastating. Samuel felt sick. You're threatening me. I'm offering you a way out. Take it or leave it. I need time to think. You have 24 hours. After that, the offer expires, and things get very unpleasant for everyone involved. The line went dead. Samuel sat there holding a phone that felt like a bomb, called Rachel. They're making a move, he said when she answered. He told her about the call. Rachel listened in silence. It's a bluff, she said finally. What if it's not? Then we call their bluff anyway. Everything you did was legal, technically. Technically doesn't play well in the press. Neither does attempted murder. We have the medical evidence. We have the restraining order. We have pattern and motive. And they have Torres playing victim and witnesses who say I attacked unprovoked. Rachel was quiet. What do you want to do? I don't know. You need to decide. Because if you back down now, you're admitting fault. And that opens you up to everything they're threatening and more. And if I push forward, then we go to war. Real war. Legal, public, messy. Are you prepared for that? Samuel thought about Lena, about her face when she told him to stay away, about the line between protection and control that he'd crossed so completely he couldn't see it anymore. I need to talk to Lena. She doesn't want to see you. I know, but she needs to know what's happening. Samuel went to the Hoboken apartment. Patrick the doorman looked uncomfortable. She said not to let you up, Mr. Drake. I know. Can you call her? Tell her it's important. Patrick made the call. Talked quietly. Hung up. She says whatever you have to say, you can say through your lawyer. Samuel felt something die inside him. Okay. He went back to his car, sat there, called Rachel. Tell her about the offer. Tell her she needs to decide. She's going to say yes. I know. And you're okay with that? No, but it's her choice. Rachel called him back an hour later. She wants the deal. Samuel closed his eyes. Okay. Samuel, it's her life, her choice. Call Cross. Tell him we accept. There has to be another way. There isn't. Make the call. Rachel made the call. The deal was structured within 6 hours. Samuel would drop all civil actions, would publicly state that the situation was a misunderstanding, would cease all investigation and surveillance. In exchange, Ryder and Garrett would maintain the restraining order, would drop Torres's charges, would leave Lena alone permanently. It was surrender dressed up as compromise. Samuel signed the papers feeling like he was signing a death warrant. The press release went out that afternoon, carefully worded, legally sound, completely hollow. Billionaire Samuel Drake wishes to clarify recent events involving former acquaintance Lena Vale. What was initially perceived as a threatening situation has been revealed to be a misunderstanding. All parties involved have agreed to move forward separately and peacefully. Mr. Drake wishes Miss Vale well and considers the matter closed. The media ate it up, spun it as a rich man overreacting to a domestic dispute that wasn't his business. Talking heads debated whether Samuel had a savior complex or was using his money to control people's lives. Samuel watched it all from his office and felt nothing. Marcus came by that evening. Security is pulled. Surveillance is shut down. We're dark on the Cole brothers. Good. This is a mistake, boss. So everyone keeps telling me. They're not going to leave her alone. You know that, right? It's not my problem anymore. Since when do you give up? Samuel looked at him. Since the person I was trying to help told me to stop. Marcus left, shaking his head. Samuel sat alone in his office and tried to remember why he'd started this. Tried to remember what it felt like to think he could save someone. His phone buzzed. Text from Lena. Thank you for respecting my wishes. That was it. No warmth, no gratitude, just acknowledgement. Samuel typed a response, deleted it, typed another, deleted that too. Finally settled on, stay safe. She didn't respond. 3 days passed. Samuel threw himself into work. The Takahashi acquisition. The quarterly earnings. Board meetings and conference calls and everything that had been his life before Lena Vale walked into it. It felt hollow, empty, like going through motions that didn't mean anything. Rachel called on the 4th day. We have a problem. Samuel's stomach dropped. What kind of problem? The kind where everything we just did was for nothing. Explain. Torres dropped the charges. The civil suit is dismissed, all according to the agreement. But there's something else, something we missed. What? Judge Morrison is under investigation. Federal investigation, bribery, corruption, accepting payment to influence cases. Samuel felt the world tilt. What cases? Domestic violence cases specifically. Someone's been paying her to go easy on abusers. Reduce bail, weaken restraining orders. Look the other way. Who? They haven't released names yet, but Sam, the restraining order against Ryder, Morrison signed it. If she's been compromised, if she was paid to make it look good but keep it unenforceable, then the protection Lena thinks she has doesn't exist. Worse, The investigation is going to drag Morrison's cases through review. Every order she signed is now suspect. The restraining order could be thrown out completely pending reevaluation. Samuel was already moving, grabbing his coat, his keys. When does this go public? It already has. Federal press conference was an hour ago. It's all over the news. Samuel ran for the elevator, called Lena. No answer. Called again. Voicemail. Lena, it's Samuel. Morrison's under investigation. The restraining order might not hold. Call me back, please. He called Marcus. I need eyes on Lena. Now. I thought we pulled. I don't care what we pulled. Get someone there now. On it. Samuel drove to Hoboken, made it in 12 minutes, ran into the building. Patrick stopped him. Mr. Drake, she's not. Where is she? She left about an hour ago. Said she needed to clear her head. Went for a walk. Samuel felt ice in his veins. Which way? Toward the waterfront. Samuel ran. The waterfront was dark, empty. The Hudson stretched out black and infinite, Manhattan glittering across the water like it was mocking him. He found her sitting on a bench, alone, looking at the skyline. Lena. She turned, saw him. Her face hardened. I told you to stay away. Morrison's under investigation. The restraining order might be invalid. Lena went pale. What? Federal corruption charges. She's been taking bribes to influence domestic violence cases. Every order she signed is under review. But that means... It means Ryder might not be legally bound to stay away from you. Lena stood up. They knew. That's why they made the deal. They knew Morrison was compromised and that we'd find out. Yes. So they get everything. Torres drops charges, you back off, and the restraining order that was supposed to protect me is worthless. We'll get a new one. Different judge. Clean. How long will that take? Samuel didn't answer. How long, Samuel? 2 weeks, maybe more. Lena laughed. It sounded broken. 2 weeks. And what am I supposed to do until then? Hide? Yes. Where? Your Connecticut mansion? Another fortress where I'm safe but not free? Better than dead. Is it? Lena looked at him with eyes that were done fighting. I'm tired, Samuel. I'm so tired of being afraid, of running, of letting men dictate my life, even you, especially you. I'm trying to help. I know, but your help comes with strings, control, decisions made for me instead of with me, and I can't live like that anymore. Then what do you want? I want to go home. Home? Seattle, my mom's, somewhere far away from all of this. Samuel felt something cracking. When? Tonight. I've been thinking about it since the deal, since you backed off. I don't belong here. I never did. Lena, I'm leaving, Samuel, with or without your approval, but I wanted to tell you in person, to thank you for everything, even the parts that hurt. You can't leave, not now, not with Ryder. Ryder doesn't know I'm leaving. I'll be gone before he realizes. Start over somewhere he can't find me. He'll look for you. Let him. I'll be ready. Samuel stared at her. At this woman who'd been beaten and terrorized and controlled, who was choosing to walk away from the only protection she had because she'd rather risk death than lose freedom. And he realized he couldn't stop her, didn't have the right to stop her. When does your flight leave? He asked quietly. 10 p.m. I'm packed. Just came here to think. Samuel checked his watch. 8:47 p.m. Let me drive you to the airport. Samuel, please, let me do this one thing. Then I'll let you go. Lena looked at him for a long moment. Okay. They walked back to the car in silence. Samuel drove toward Newark Airport, every mile feeling like goodbye. I'm sorry, he said finally. For what? For making this about me. For using you to fix something I couldn't fix 15 years ago. For taking away your choices because I couldn't handle feeling helpless. I know why you did it. That doesn't make it right. No, but it makes it human. They drove in silence for a while. Your sister, Lena said. Emily. What was she like? Samuel's hands tightened on the wheel. Brave, stubborn, too trusting. She thought she could change him, thought love was enough. It never is. No, it's not. Do you think about her often? Every day. Lena was quiet. I'm not going to die, Samuel. I'm going to live.
really live, and you need to let me. I'm trying. Try harder.
They pulled up to the departures terminal. Samuel helped her with her bag. One small suitcase. Everything she owned that mattered fit in one bag. "This is it," Lena said. "This is it." She hugged him. Samuel held on maybe a little too long. "Be safe," he whispered. "I will. Call me when you land." "I will." She wouldn't. They both knew it. But the lie felt necessary. Lena pulled back, looked at him one last time. "You're a good man, Samuel Drake. You're just fighting the wrong battle." "What's the right one?" "Forgiving yourself." She walked into the terminal, disappeared into the crowd. Samuel stood there until he couldn't see her anymore. Then he got in his car and drove. He made it 3 blocks before Marcus called. "Boss, we have a problem." Samuel's blood went cold. "What now?" "Ryder and Garrett, they're not at their apartments, not at their usual haunts. They're gone." Define gone. As in disappeared. As in their cars are gone, their apartments are empty, and the last ping on Ryder's phone was near the Holland Tunnel, heading toward Newark. No. When? 20 minutes ago. Samuel's foot slammed on the accelerator. "Get police to the airport, now. Terminal C. American Airlines." "What's happening?" "They know. They know she's leaving." Samuel weaved through traffic, ran red lights, didn't care. Called Lena. No answer. Called again. Voicemail. "Lena, don't get on the plane. Ryder's coming. Get somewhere public. Security. Police. Don't be alone." He was still 10 minutes from the airport. Too far. Too late. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. "Mr. Drake." Ryder's voice. Calm. Cold. "Looking for someone?" Samuel's world stopped. "Where is she?" "Parking garage, level 3. She made it easy. All alone. No security, no protection. Almost like someone convinced her she didn't need it." "If you hurt her..." "You'll what? Beat me up? Get arrested? Face charges?" "Oh wait, you already did that. And then you backed off. Made a deal. Left her unprotected. This is on you, Drake." "Please." The word tasted like ash. "Please don't do this." "Do what? Take back what's mine? She belongs to me. Always has. And you're just some rich asshole who thought he could play hero. But heroes die, Drake. And so do the people they fail to save." The line went dead. Samuel drove like he was trying to outrun hell itself. Called 911. "Domestic violence in progress. Newark Airport. Parking garage. Level 3. Woman in danger. Send everyone." He made it to the airport. Abandoned his car in a no-parking zone. Ran for the garage. Level 3 was dark. Quiet. Rows of cars under flickering fluorescent lights. He heard it before he saw it. A scream, cut short. Samuel ran toward the sound, found them between 2 SUVs. Ryder had Lena against a concrete pillar, one hand around her throat, the other holding a knife. Garrett stood watch, saw Samuel coming. Well, well, the hero arrives. Samuel didn't slow down, didn't think, just moved. Garrett tried to intercept him. Samuel dodged, drove his shoulder into Garrett's chest, sent him sprawling. Ryder turned. The knife came up. Samuel grabbed his wrist, twisted, heard something pop. Ryder screamed, dropped the knife. Lena collapsed. Samuel hit Ryder, again, all the rage and guilt and helplessness of the last month pouring out through his fists. "You don't get to win," Samuel snarled. "You don't get her. You don't get anything." Ryder's face was a bloody mess. His eyes were wild, fading. "Neither do you," he gasped. Garrett was back. Hit Samuel from behind with something heavy. Samuel went down hard, vision swimming. Saw Garrett help Ryder up. Saw them run for a car. Saw red and blue lights flooding the garage. Sirens, shouting, police swarming. Samuel crawled to Lena. She was conscious, gasping, alive. "I've got you," he whispered. "You're safe." "You came," she said. Her voice was wrecked. "You came." "Always." Paramedics arrived, took over, loaded Lena onto a stretcher. Samuel tried to follow. A cop stopped him. "Sir, you need to stay here. She needs..." "Sir, now." Samuel watched them take Lena away. A detective approached, the same one from before. Mr. Drake, we need to talk. Did you get them? They're in custody. Won't make bail this time. Good. But we need to talk about what just happened. What you did. Samuel looked at his hands, bloody, bruised, probably broken. I stopped them from killing her. You assaulted them. Again. In front of witnesses. Again. I saved her life. Maybe. Or maybe you just made everything worse. Again. Samuel didn't have an answer for that. They took him to the station. Different room, same questions. Rachel showed up, looked at him like he was a stranger. You can't keep doing this, she said. I know. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're addicted to saving her, and it's going to destroy both of you. She was dying. And you keep making sure she needs saving. You're not helping, Samuel. You're enabling a cycle. That's not... Yes, it is. You pull security. She's vulnerable. They attack. You rescue her. She's grateful. You feel needed. And the cycle continues. When does it end? When they're in prison. And if they make bail again? If they come after her again? How many times are you going to do this? Samuel didn't answer. Rachel sighed. The DA wants to talk to you about testimony, about everything. This is going to trial. All of it. Morrison's corruption, Ryder's attacks, your involvement. It's going to be a circus. I don't care. You should, because your credibility is shot. You've assaulted Ryder twice. You've destroyed evidence. You've acted as a vigilante. The defense is going to tear you apart. Let them. Samuel, I said let them. As long as Ryder goes to prison, I don't care what happens to me. Rachel looked at him for a long moment. You really mean that? Yes. Then you're more lost than I thought. They let him go at dawn. No charges. Yet. But the DA made it clear this was far from over. Samuel went to the hospital, found Lena in a private room. Bandages around her throat. IVs in her arms. Sleeping. He sat in the chair by her bed. Watched her breathe. Counted each breath like a prayer. She woke up around noon. Saw him. Her eyes filled. You saved me. I almost got you killed. That's not... Yes, it is. Rachel's right. I'm making this worse. Every time I try to help, I make it worse. Lena reached for his hand. Stop. I can't. I can't stop trying to save you, and I can't save you, and I don't know how to live in that space. Then learn. I don't know how. Lena squeezed his hand. Figure it out, because I'm not going anywhere. I'm pressing charges. I'm testifying. I'm seeing this through, and I need you to be my friend, not my savior. I don't know if I can do that. You have to, because the alternative is losing me completely. Samuel looked at her, at this woman who'd survived so much and was still choosing to fight. Okay, he said finally. I'll try. Good. A knock at the door. A federal agent walked in, badge out. Ms. Vale? Mr. Drake? I'm Agent Sarah Chen with the FBI. I need to talk to you about Judge Morrison and about who paid her to compromise your case. Samuel and Lena exchanged glances. We're listening, Samuel said. Agent Chen pulled out a folder, opened it. Inside was a photo. Not of Ryder, not of Garrett. Of someone Samuel had never seen before. A woman, 50s, well-dressed, professional. Do you know this person? Agent Chen asked. Samuel shook his head. No, who is she? Catherine Morrison, the judge's sister. She's also the CFO of a private equity firm, a firm that specializes in hostile takeovers. I don't understand. The firm is run by someone you do know. Agent Chen pulled out another photo. Samuel's blood went cold. It was Marcus. You're head of security, Agent Chen said. He's been running the operation from the beginning, paying Morrison to weaken restraining orders, hiring Torres, feeding information to the Cole brothers, all of it. Samuel felt the world tilt. No, that's not... Marcus wouldn't... Marcus Chen is my brother, Agent Chen said quietly. And he's been using you, Mr. Drake, using your guilt over your sister, your need to save someone. He's been orchestrating this entire situation to get leverage over you. Leverage for what? Your company, Drake Holdings. His firm wants to take it over. Hostile acquisition. And he needed you compromised, desperate, vulnerable. So he created a situation where you do something criminal, something they could use to force you out. Samuel couldn't breathe. Lena was real. Her abuse was real. But Marcus has been manipulating the situation, making sure Ryder escalated, making sure Morrison stayed compromised, making sure you crossed lines you couldn't uncross. Lena's face had gone white. He's been using both of us. Yes. Samuel stood up. The room spun. Everything. Everything had been a lie. His phone rang. Marcus. Samuel answered. Hey, boss. Just checking in. How's Ms. Vale? You betrayed me. Silence. I don't know what you're... The FBI is here. They know everything. Marcus didn't even hesitate. Then you know I'm sorry it had to be this way. Why? Because you have something I need, and you were never going to give it up willingly. So I created a situation where you'd have no choice. I trusted you. I know. That's what made it work. Goodbye, Samuel. The line went dead. Agent Chen was already on her phone. He's running. Put out an APB. Samuel sat down heavily, looked at Lena. I'm sorry, he whispered. For what? For all of it. For dragging you into this. For making your trauma into my war. For not seeing that I was being played. Lena took his hand. We were both being played. But I should have seen it. I should have. You were trying to help. That's not a crime. It's not enough either. They sat in silence as the scope of the betrayal settled over them. Marcus was gone. The man Samuel had trusted with everything. Morrison was compromised. The system he'd believed in was corrupt. And somewhere out there, Ryder and Garrett were in custody, but they were just pawns in a larger game. A game Samuel had lost before he even knew he was playing. Agent Chen closed her phone. We'll get him, and when we do, he'll face federal charges. Conspiracy, bribery, racketeering. He's going away for a long time. What about Ryder and Garrett? They're still charged with attempted murder, assault, stalking. Morrison's corruption doesn't change what they did. They'll go to trial. And me? Agent Chen looked at him. That's complicated. You assaulted multiple people, some in self-defense, some not. The DA will have to sort through it. Will I go to prison? I don't know. Samuel nodded. He'd crossed so many lines trying to save someone that he'd lost track of which side he was on. Hero or criminal, savior or destroyer, maybe both, maybe neither. Agent Chen left, promised to be in touch. Samuel and Lena sat in the hospital room as the sun set over Newark, turning the windows orange and red. What do we do now? Lena asked. Samuel looked at her, really looked at her, this woman who'd survived hell twice over, who was still fighting, still choosing to live. We testify, he said. We tell the truth, all of it, and we let the pieces fall where they fall. Even if that means prison for you? Even then, Lena nodded. Okay. Okay? I'll stand with you, whatever comes. You don't have to. I want to. You tried to save me even when I didn't want saving. Now I'll fight for you even when you think you don't deserve it. Samuel felt something break and rebuild inside him simultaneously. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to get ugly. I know. They sat together as night fell, two people who'd been used as weapons against each other, choosing instead to be allies. Outside, the machinery of justice was grinding into motion. Inside, two broken people tried to figure out how to be whole. And somewhere in the dark, Marcus Chen was running. But he wouldn't run far enough. Because Samuel Drake had spent a month learning how to hunt, and now he had a new target. Not for revenge, for justice. Real justice. The kind that didn't come from fists or money or control. The kind that came from truth. No matter what it cost. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. And this time, Samuel wasn't fighting to save someone. He was fighting to become someone worth saving. The federal courthouse in Newark was built like a fortress. Concrete and steel, narrow windows that looked like they were designed to keep something in rather than out. Samuel stood on the steps at 7 a.m., 3 hours before his testimony was scheduled, and tried to remember how to breathe like a normal person. Rachel was beside him. She hadn't slept. Neither had he. You don't have to do this, she said for the 15th time. Yes, I do. You could plead the 5th. Refuse to testify about the assaults. Let them build the case against Ryder without implicating yourself. and look like I have something to hide. You do have something to hide. 2 counts of assault, 1 count of vigilante justice, a pattern of behavior that makes you look unstable at best, dangerous at worst. Samuel looked at her. I'm going to tell the truth, all of it, what I did, why I did it, what Marcus did, what Ryder did, everything. That's suicide. Maybe, but it's honest. Rachel closed her eyes. I've known you 8 years. I've never seen you like this. Like what? Ready to destroy yourself for a principle. I'm not destroying myself. I'm accepting consequences. There's a difference? Samuel didn't answer. They went inside, through security, metal detectors that beeped at his belt buckle, guards who looked at him like they already knew he was guilty of something. The courtroom was on the 4th floor. Federal. Judge Patricia Hendricks presiding. No-nonsense reputation. Former prosecutor. The kind of judge who didn't tolerate games. Lena was already there, sitting in the gallery with Agent Sarah Chen. She saw Samuel and something passed between them. Not quite forgiveness, not quite trust, just acknowledgement. We're in this together, for better or worse. The prosecution team was assembled at their table. Lead prosecutor was a woman named Janet Reeves. Mid-40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. She'd spent 3 weeks building this case and Samuel was her star witness, whether he wanted to be or not. The defense sat opposite. Ryder's lawyer, Patterson, looked smug. Garrett's lawyer looked bored. They had their strategy. Paint Samuel as an obsessed vigilante. Paint Lena as a willing participant who changed her mind. Paint the whole thing as a misunderstanding blown out of proportion by a billionaire with a savior complex. It wasn't a bad strategy. It was partially true. The bailiff called the court to order. Judge Hendricks entered. Everyone stood. Be seated. We're here for the pretrial hearing in the matter of the People versus Ryder Cole and Garrett Cole. Multiple charges including attempted murder, assault, stalking, and conspiracy. Miss Reeves, call your first witness. The People call Samuel Drake. Samuel stood, walked to the witness stand, raised his right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. He sat. The wood was hard, uncomfortable, probably intentional. Janet Reeves approached. Mr. Drake, please state your occupation. CEO of Drake Holdings, private equity and venture capital. And how did you first meet Lena Vale? Samuel told it. The diner, the bruises, the card, watching her hide fear like it was a reflex. What made you think she needed help? Experience. Explain. Samuel's jaw tightened. My sister was in an abusive relationship. I didn't see it until it was too late. She died because I didn't act. When I saw Ms. Vale, I saw the same patterns, the same warning signs. So you decided to intervene? Yes. Walk me through what that intervention looked like. Samuel described it. The surveillance, the background checks, the resources, the apartment, the legal help, the security. Patterson was taking notes, smiling slightly. Mr. Drake, at any point did Miss Vale ask for this help? Not initially. So you imposed it on her. I offered it. She accepted. After you'd already been following her, watching her, gathering information about her private life without her knowledge or consent. Samuel's hands clenched. I was trying to keep her safe. By stalking her? Objection, Reeves said, argumentative. Sustained. Rephrase, Mr. Patterson. Patterson smiled. Mr. Drake, would you say your behavior toward Ms. Vale was motivated by concern for her safety or by your own unresolved trauma regarding your sister's death? The question landed like a punch. Samuel looked at Lena. She was watching him with an expression he couldn't read. Both, he said quietly. I'm sorry. Could you speak up? Both. I was trying to help her, and I was trying to fix something I couldn't fix before. Both things were true. Patterson nodded. And in pursuit of fixing this thing you couldn't fix, you assaulted my client, twice. I defended Ms. Vale from attempts on her life. The first incident. The alley behind the diner. You claim Mr. Cole was strangling Miss Vale. He was. There's surveillance footage. Footage that shows someone pulling Mr. Cole off Miss Vale. But the person doing the pulling wasn't you, was it? Samuel's stomach dropped. No, my security team. Your security team that you had following Ms. Vale without her knowledge. That security team. They saved her life. Or they interfered in a domestic dispute that was none of their business. We have testimony from Mr. Cole that he and Ms. Vale were having an argument, that she attacked him, that he was defending himself when your team intervened. That's a lie. Is it? Do you have proof Ms. Vale didn't strike first? Look at her medical records. Look at the pattern of abuse. I'm looking at a woman who stayed with my client for 2 years, who never filed a police report, who never sought help until a wealthy stranger decided to play hero. That's what I'm looking at. Samuel felt rage building. Your client tried to murder her. My client defended himself from an attack orchestrated by you. You wanted to be the hero. You wanted to save her. So you manufactured a situation where she needed saving. That's not true. Isn't it? You pulled your security. You made a deal to back off. And the moment you did, suddenly there's another attack, another dramatic rescue. How convenient. I didn't orchestrate anything. But your head of security did, Marcus Chen. Who was working against you? Who was manipulating this entire situation? How do we know you weren't in on it? How do we know this entire thing wasn't staged for some purpose we don't yet understand? Objection! Reeves was on her feet. Counsel is testifying. There's no evidence Mr. Drake was complicit in Mr. Chen's actions. I'm establishing reasonable doubt, Your Honor. Judge Hendricks looked tired already. Objection sustained. Stick to questions, Mr. Patterson. Patterson turned back to Samuel. Let's talk about the airport, parking garage. You assaulted my client again. He was trying to kill her. He had a knife to her throat. According to you. But there were no witnesses to the alleged knife. Just you, my client, and Ms. Vale. Very convenient. The paramedics documented her injuries. Injuries that could have been sustained in any number of ways. Maybe she fell. Maybe there was a struggle. Maybe you caused them when you attacked my client. Samuel's vision was going red. I saved her life. You assaulted a man. Again. In a pattern of violence that suggests you're the dangerous one here, Mr. Drake. Your client is a murderer. My client is a victim of your obsession. Samuel lunged, didn't make it far. The bailiff was there, strong hands holding him back. Judge Hendricks's gavel came down like a gunshot. Mr. Drake, control yourself or I'll hold you in contempt. Samuel forced himself to breathe, to sit, to unclench his fists. Patterson was smiling. No further questions. Reeves stood for redirect. Mr. Drake, in your professional opinion as someone who runs a multi-billion-dollar company, would you say Marcus Chen is capable of sophisticated manipulation? Yes. Would you say he had the resources and knowledge to orchestrate the events that transpired? Absolutely. And would you say your actions, while perhaps legally questionable, were motivated by a genuine desire to protect Ms. Vale? Yes. No further questions. Samuel stepped down. His hands were shaking. He sat next to Rachel. That went worse than I expected, she whispered. I know. The prosecution called more witnesses. Agent Sarah Chen, who explained the federal investigation into Marcus, the corruption, the conspiracy, how Marcus had been feeding information to the Cole brothers, making sure situations escalated, creating opportunities for Samuel to cross lines. Then Dr. Nina Okonkwo, the therapist, who testified about trauma bonds and coercive control and the psychology of abuse. How victims often can't leave without external intervention. How the pattern Lena exhibited was textbook. Then the medical examiner, who showed photos of Lena's injuries, the bruised trachea, the defensive wounds, the evidence of strangulation. The defense countered every point, suggested Lena was complicit, suggested she was lying, suggested Samuel had orchestrated everything. By the time they recessed for lunch, Samuel felt hollowed out. Lena found him in the hallway. You okay? She asked. I'm fine. Liar. Samuel managed a weak smile. How are you holding up? I'm next, after lunch. I'm terrified. You'll be fine. Will I? They're going to tear me apart, make me look weak, make me look like I wanted this. Tell the truth. That's all you can do. Lena looked at him with eyes that were older than they should be. The truth didn't help you much. No, but it's all we have. They ate lunch in silence, sandwiches that tasted like cardboard, coffee that tasted worse. Agent Chen joined them. "We found Marcus." Samuel's head snapped up. "Where?" "Canada, Montreal. He made it across the border before we could stop him." "Can you extradite him?" "Working on it, but it's going to take time, weeks, maybe months. So he gets away. For now. But we'll get him. I promise." Samuel didn't feel reassured. The afternoon session started with Lena's testimony. She walked to the stand looking small and scared and brave, raised her hand, swore to tell the truth. Reeves took her through it gently. The relationship, the escalation, the control, the violence. How she'd wanted to leave but didn't know how, didn't think she could survive on her own. "When did that change?" Reeves asked. "When Samuel gave me options, not orders, options. A card with numbers to call, resources if I needed them, no pressure, just possibilities." "And when did you decide to use those resources?" Lena's voice dropped. "When Ryder tried to kill me the first time, in the alley, when I felt his hands around my throat and knew this was it. This was how I died. And then someone pulled him off and I could breathe again, and I thought, I don't have to die. I can choose something different." "What did you choose?" "Life. Whatever that looked like." Reeves nodded. "Your witness." Patterson stood, circled like a shark. "Ms. Vale, you stayed with Mr. Cole for 2 years. Is that correct?" "Yes." 2 years of alleged abuse. Why didn't you leave sooner?" "I was scared." "Of what?" "Of him. Of being alone. Of not being able to survive." "But you had family, your mother in Seattle. Why didn't you go to her?" Lena's eyes filled. "Because I was ashamed. Because I didn't want her to know what I'd become. What you'd become. Or what you'd chosen to stay in." "Objection," Reeves said, badgering. "Overruled. Answer the question, Ms. Vale." Lena's voice was barely a whisper. "Both. So you made a choice to stay. It wasn't that simple. Wasn't it? You had options, family, friends, resources. But you chose to stay with my client for 2 years. That suggests the relationship wasn't as terrible as you're claiming. You don't understand. I understand that you had every opportunity to leave and you didn't. Not until a wealthy man started paying attention to you, offering you money, apartments, a lifestyle you couldn't afford on your own. That's when you decided the relationship was abusive, when you had a better option." Lena's face went pale. "That's not true, isn't it? Let's talk about the alley incident. You claim my client was strangling you, but you also testified that you were taking trash to the dumpster. Why were you working at the diner if Mr. Drake had already given you a job at his company?" I was finishing out my shifts. I didn't want to leave them short-staffed." "How considerate. Or were you hedging your bets, keeping your old life as backup in case the new one didn't work out?" "No. You also testified that you didn't know Mr. Drake had security following you, but you accepted his help, his money, his resources. How much did he give you, Ms. Vale?" "He gave me a place to stay, that's all. A penthouse apartment in Hoboken worth approximately $4,000 a month, a salary for a job you never performed, legal representation, medical care. All told, what would you estimate the value of Mr. Drake's generosity to be?" Lena looked lost. "I don't know. $100,000? More? I don't know. But you took it all. Without question. Without hesitation. I needed help. Or you saw an opportunity. A rich man with a savior complex and a dead sister he couldn't save. You must have seemed like his dream come true." "Objection!" Reeves was shouting now. "This is outrageous. Counsel is accusing the victim of I'm establishing motive, Your Honor. Ms. Vale had every reason to exaggerate the abuse, to play the victim, to manipulate Mr. Drake's guilt for financial gain." Judge Hendricks looked furious. "Mr. Patterson, you're on very thin ice. One more comment like that, and I'll hold you in contempt." "I withdraw the comment. No further questions." Lena stepped down looking like she'd been flayed alive. Samuel wanted to go to her. Rachel held him back. "Not now. Let her breathe." The prosecution rested. The defense called their witnesses. Ryder took the stand. He looked good, clean-cut. respectable, humble. The performance of a lifetime. Mr. Cole, describe your relationship with Miss Vale. We loved each other. At least I loved her. I thought she loved me too. But looking back, I think she was always looking for something better, someone with more money, more status. Did you ever strike Miss Vale?
No, never. We argued sometimes. What couple doesn't? But I never hit her.
What about the incident in the alley?
She attacked me. I know how that sounds, but she came at me out of nowhere, started hitting me, screaming. I tried to defend myself, and then these men came out of nowhere and pulled me off. I was confused, scared. I didn't understand what was happening. And the airport? I went there to talk to her, to ask her why she was leaving, why she was throwing away 2 years for some rich guy she barely knew. She pulled a knife. I tried to take it from her. We struggled. Then Mr. Drake showed up and attacked me. Again. It was all lies, every word, but Ryder sold it like truth. Patterson nodded. Your witness. Reeves stood. Mr. Cole, you have 2 previous complaints filed against you for domestic violence, both by ex-girlfriends, both withdrawn. Why do you think that is? They were angry, made things up, then calmed down and realized they'd overreacted. Or they were scared, intimidated, convinced to drop the charges. Objection, speculation. Sustained. Reeves tried again. Mr. Cole, do you know Malcolm Torres? Ryder's face went blank. No. You're sure, because we have surveillance footage of you and your brother meeting with him at Murphy's bar. Money changing hands. I don't know who that is. He's an enforcer for organized crime, specializes in making people disappear. You paid him $5,000. What was that for? Objection. No foundation. Judge Hendricks looked skeptical. Ms. Reeves, do you have proof of this transaction? We have footage of the meeting. We have testimony from Mr. Torres himself. Then call him as a witness. We tried, Your Honor. He's disappeared, fled the country. Then you have nothing but surveillance footage of a meeting. That's not proof of payment or intent. Objection sustained. Reeves gritted her teeth. No further questions. Garrett took the stand next. His testimony matched Ryder's word for word. Brothers protecting each other. A wall of lies that was perfectly constructed. By the time the defense rested, Samuel felt sick. Judge Hendricks looked at both sides. Closing arguments tomorrow, 9 a.m. Court is adjourned. The gavel came down. Samuel stood in the hallway watching Ryder and Garrett walk out with their lawyers. Ryder looked back, smiled. That smile said everything. I'm going to win, you're going to lose, and there's nothing you can do about it. Samuel's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. Drake. Samuel. Marcus's voice, calm, amused. How's the trial going? Samuel's blood went ice. Where are you? Somewhere you can't touch me, watching all this fall apart from a safe distance. They'll extradite you. Maybe, eventually, but that's going to take time. And by then, you'll have bigger problems. Like what? Like the charges Torres is going to file against you. Like the civil suit Ryder's planning. Like the board of directors who are getting very nervous about your stability. I built you a perfect trap, Samuel, and you walked right into it. Why? I told you, your company, your empire. I wanted it, and the only way to get it was to make you vulnerable, desperate, compromised. You used Lena. I used both of you. She was bait. You were the target, and you bit so hard you bled. Samuel's hand tightened on the phone. I'm going to find you. No, you're not. You're going to go to prison, or lose everything fighting to stay out of prison. Either way, I win. Drake Holdings gets acquired by my firm for pennies on the dollar. Your life's work becomes mine. And you get to live with the knowledge that you destroyed yourself trying to save someone who didn't need saving. She did need saving. From Ryder? Sure, but I made sure Ryder escalated. I made sure you'd be there to see it. I orchestrated every moment so you'd feel like you had to act. And you did. Over and over. Every line you crossed, I put it there for you to trip over. Samuel closed his eyes. You're a monster. I'm a businessman, just like you. The difference is I don't pretend to be noble about it. I'll stop you. You can't. You're broken, Samuel. You've been broken since Emily died. I just helped you crack all the way open. The line went dead. Samuel stood there shaking. Lena appeared beside him. Who was that? Marcus. What did he want? To gloat. Lena looked at his face, saw something there that scared her. Samuel, what are you thinking? I'm thinking he's right. I destroyed myself trying to save you. That's not... It is. Everything he said is true. I crossed every line, broke every rule. And for what? Ryder's going to walk. The jury is going to believe his story because it makes more sense than ours. Rich man with savior complex. Poor woman who saw an opportunity, a tragic misunderstanding. Stop. I should have let you go. Back at the beginning, when you first asked. I should have respected your choice. Samuel. But I couldn't, because saving you was never about you. It was about me, about fixing what I couldn't fix before, about being the hero I wasn't when it mattered. And I used you for that. I'm no better than Ryder. Lena grabbed his face, forced him to look at her. Listen to me. You are nothing like Ryder. You made mistakes. You crossed lines. But you did it trying to help, not hurt. That matters. Does it? Yes. And we're not done fighting. Tomorrow, closing arguments. The jury decides. We might lose, probably will lose. But we're going to tell the truth and let the pieces fall. And if Ryder walks, then we deal with it. Together. Samuel looked at her. At this woman who'd been through hell and was still standing, still fighting. Why do you care what happens to me? Because you cared what happened to me, when no one else did, when I'd given up on myself. You saw me, really saw me, not as a victim, not as a project, as a person worth saving, and now I see you the same way. Something in Samuel's chest cracked open. I don't deserve that. Neither did I. But you gave it anyway. Now let me return the favor. They stood in the courthouse hallway as the sun set through the narrow windows, two broken people holding each other up. Rachel approached. We need to talk about tomorrow. Strategy for closing. What's the play? Samuel asked. Honesty. Raw honesty. We lean into your mistakes, admit you crossed lines, but frame it as the actions of a desperate man trying to stop a murder. Appeal to the jury's humanity. Hope they see Ryder for what he is. That's a long shot. It's all we have. That night, Samuel couldn't sleep. He sat in his penthouse looking at Manhattan and trying to figure out how everything had gone so wrong. His phone rang at 2 a.m. Lena. Can't sleep either? He answered. No, keep thinking about tomorrow, about what happens if he wins. He won't touch you, I promise. You can't promise that. I can try. Lena was quiet. Samuel, if this goes bad, if you end up in prison or he ends up free or both, I need you to know something. What? You saved my life, whatever else happens, whatever mistakes you made. You gave me a reason to fight back, to believe I was worth saving. And that changed everything. Samuel felt his eyes burn. You saved me too. How? By forcing me to face what I've been running from. The guilt, the helplessness, the need to control everything because I couldn't control the one thing that mattered. You made me confront all of it, and I'm better for it, even if it destroys me. It's not going to destroy you. You don't know that. I believe it anyway. They talked until dawn, about nothing, about everything, about what comes after when after seems impossible. The final day of the trial started with closing arguments. The prosecution went first. Reeves stood before the jury and laid it all out. The pattern of abuse, the medical evidence, the testimony, the proof that Ryder Cole was a dangerous man who'd tried to kill Lena Vale multiple times. Then she addressed Samuel. Samuel Drake is not on trial here, but his actions are relevant because the defense wants you to believe he orchestrated this situation, that he manipulated Ms. Vale for some nefarious purpose. But ask yourselves, what did he gain? He spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, risked his reputation, his freedom, his company, all to help a woman he barely knew. Does that sound like manipulation? Or does that sound like someone who saw evil and tried to stop it? She paused. Let it sink in. Mr. Drake made mistakes. He'll be the first to admit that. But his mistakes were born of desperation, of watching someone he cared about being destroyed and feeling powerless to stop it. He crossed lines, but he crossed them in the direction of protecting life, not taking it. The same cannot be said of the defendants.
Patterson stood for the defense. He painted a different picture. A rich man with a God complex. A woman who saw opportunity. A relationship that wasn't perfect but wasn't criminal. A series of misunderstandings escalated by outside interference. The prosecution wants you to believe Ryder Cole is a monster. But where's the proof? Where are the police reports from 2 years of alleged abuse? Where are the witnesses? Where is anything except the testimony of 2 people who have every reason to lie? Miss Vale gained hundreds of thousands of dollars in support from Mr. Drake. Mr. Drake gained purpose, a reason to feel like a hero. They both benefited from painting my client as a villain, but that doesn't make it true. He turned to face the jury directly. This case is about reasonable doubt, and there is reasonable doubt everywhere. The surveillance was illegal, the testimony is biased, the evidence is circumstantial, and the only thing that's clear is that Samuel Drake assaulted my client. Twice. In front of witnesses. That's not disputed. That's fact. Everything else is just a story they're telling to justify that violence. The jury deliberated for 3 days. 3 days of waiting, of pacing, of Samuel sitting in his office pretending to work while his entire life hung in balance. Rachel stayed close. Agent Chen provided updates on the Marcus situation, still in Montreal, still fighting extradition. Lena stayed with Samuel, not romantically, just present. 2 people in a foxhole waiting for the bombardment to end. On the 3rd day, the call came. Verdict reached. They assembled in the courtroom. The jury filed in. 12 faces that held Samuel's future in their collective hands. Judge Hendricks looked at them. Has the jury reached a verdict? The foreman stood. We have, Your Honor. On the charge of attempted murder, how do you find? Samuel held his breath. We find the defendant, Ryder Cole, guilty. The courtroom exploded. Ryder's face went white. Lena gasped. Samuel felt the world tilt. On the charge of assault with intent to cause serious bodily harm? Guilty. On the charge of stalking? Guilty. On the charge of conspiracy? Guilty. 4 guilty verdicts. On every count. Garrett's came next. Guilty on conspiracy. Guilty on accessory to assault. Both brothers were going to prison. Judge Hendricks' gavel came down. Sentencing will be scheduled for 3 weeks from today. Defendants are remanded to custody pending sentencing. We're adjourned. Samuel stood there in shock. They won. Against all odds, against the lies, against everything. They won. Lena was crying. Rachel was smiling. Agent Chen looked satisfied. And Samuel felt empty. The victory was hollow because Marcus was still out there. Torres was gone. The conspiracy was bigger than just 2 brothers. And Samuel had still destroyed himself to get here. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Mr. Drake, how does it feel to get justice? Mr. Drake, will you be pressing charges against Marcus Chen? Mr. Drake, what's next for you and Miss Vale? Samuel pushed through them, got to his car, drove. He ended up at Emily's grave. Hadn't been there in 3 years. Couldn't face it. Couldn't face the reminder of his failure. But now he sat in front of the headstone and finally let himself break. I saved her, he whispered. Lena, I saved her, but I destroyed myself doing it. Just like you said I would. You always said I cared too much, tried too hard, that it would kill me someday. The wind moved through the cemetery, cold November air that smelled like rain. I don't know how to let go. Don't know how to stop fighting battles I've already lost. Don't know how to be at peace with... His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Samuel Drake? A voice he didn't recognize. Male. Young. Who is this? My name is Jacob Morrison, Judge Morrison's son. I need to talk to you. About my mother, about what Marcus Chen did, about... The voice cracked. About the people he's going to hurt next if we don't stop him. Samuel's blood went cold. What are you talking about? He's not done. Montreal was just a stopping point. He's planning something bigger, something that involves your company, your board. And if you don't act now, he's going to burn it all down and disappear with everything you've built. How do you know this? Because my mother kept records of everything, every bribe, every transaction, every communication. She knew she was going to get caught eventually, so she documented it all as insurance. Where are these records? That's what I need to talk to you about, in person, alone. Because if Marcus finds out I have them, I'm dead. Samuel stood up, started walking to his car. Where are you? Newark. The old warehouse district, Pier 17. There's an abandoned building, 3rd floor. Come alone, come now, before it's too late. How do I know this isn't a trap? You don't. But if you want to stop Marcus, if you want to protect what you've built, you'll take the risk. The line went dead. Samuel stood by his car, keys in hand, and knew he should call the police. Call Rachel. Call Agent Chen. But time was running out. And if Jacob Morrison had proof, real proof, of what Marcus was planning, Samuel needed it. He got in his car, started driving toward Newark, toward the warehouse district, toward whatever was waiting. And as he drove, he called Lena. Where are you? She answered. Driving to meet someone. About Marcus.
Samuel, that's insane. You need backup. Police. Something. I know, but I can't wait. If there's a chance to stop him, then you call the FBI and let them handle it. By the time they mobilize, he'll be gone. The evidence will be gone. This ends now. Samuel, please, if something happens to me, everything's in my will. You're taken care of, the apartment, money, legal protection. Rachel has the details. Stop talking like you're going to die.
I'm talking like I'm going into a situation I don't control. And I need you to know, if this goes bad, you fight. You testify against Marcus. You make sure he pays for everything. I will. But you're coming back, you hear me? I hear you. Promise me. Samuel looked at the road ahead. Dark, uncertain, leading to a warehouse where anything could be waiting. I promise I'll try. He hung up before she could argue. Drove faster. The warehouse district was exactly what it sounded like. Abandoned buildings, broken windows, the smell of rust and decay. Pier 17 was at the end, a massive structure that had once been a shipping hub. Now it was just a shell. Samuel parked, looked at the building, 3rd floor, one light visible through a grimy window. He got out, started walking. Every instinct screamed trap, but he kept walking anyway, because stopping Marcus was the only thing that mattered, because finishing this was the only way forward, because Samuel Drake had spent his entire life trying to control outcomes, and now he was walking into the one place where control was impossible. The stairwell smelled like urine and mold. Samuel climbed, 1 floor, 2, 3. The door to the 3rd floor was open. Inside, a single room, empty except for a table, a laptop on the table, and a figure standing in the shadows. Not Jacob Morrison, Marcus Chen. Samuel stopped. Marcus smiled. Hello, boss. I was wondering when you'd show up. Samuel's hand moved toward his phone. Marcus saw it. Raised his own hand. There was a gun in it. Don't. Samuel froze. You're going to shoot me? If I have to, but I'd rather not. Messy, complicated, hard to explain. Marcus gestured with the gun. Phone on the table, slowly. Samuel set his phone down. The screen was still lit. Lena's last text visible. Please be careful. Too late for careful. There's no Jacob Morrison, is there? Samuel said. There is. Judge Morrison's son. Real person. But he's not here. He doesn't know anything. I just needed bait you couldn't ignore. Why? You're already gone. Already won. Why bring me here? Marcus smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Because winning isn't enough. I need you to understand what you lost. Why you lost. How completely I dismantled everything you thought you were. I know what I lost. Do you? I don't think so. You think this was about Drake Holdings, about money, about corporate acquisition. But that was just the prize. The real game was breaking you. Samuel's jaw tightened. Why? Because you needed to be broken. Because men like you, men who think their money makes them heroes, their power makes them righteous, you needed to learn that you're just as helpless as everyone else, that all your billions can't change the fundamental truth of existence. Which is? That we're all just meat waiting to rot, and the only thing that matters is what we take while we're still breathing. Samuel looked at Marcus, really looked at him, saw something he'd missed in 8 years of working together, the emptiness, the void where empathy should be. You're a sociopath. I'm a realist.
You're the one living in a fantasy where saving people matters, where being good means something. I just exist in the world as it actually is. And what world is that? The one where Emily died and it didn't matter, where Lena gets abused and the system does nothing, where I can orchestrate an entire conspiracy and walk away rich. That world, the real one. Samuel felt something cold settle in his chest. You knew about Emily. Of course I knew. I researched you before I applied for the job, found the death certificate, the police report. Your sister killed in a car accident, fleeing an abusive boyfriend. Tragic. Perfect leverage for later. You used my sister's death. I used your guilt. There's a difference. Emily was just the entry point, the wound I could keep reopening. Every time you saw Lena flinch, you saw Emily. Every time Ryder escalated, you remembered failing your sister. I didn't create that pain, I just exploited it. Samuel's hands clenched. You're a monster. I'm efficient. And now you're here, in an abandoned warehouse, alone, with a man holding a gun. Tell me, Samuel, where's your power now? Where's your control? I don't need power. I need the truth. The truth? Marcus laughed. The truth is you destroyed yourself. I gave you rope and you hanged yourself with it. Every decision you made, following Lena, hiring security, assaulting Ryder, assaulting Torres, every single one drove you closer to ruin. And you couldn't stop because stopping meant being helpless again. I was protecting someone. You were protecting yourself from feeling what you felt when Emily died. But here's the thing about feelings, boss. You can't fight them with money, can't control them with surveillance, can't punch them into submission. They just exist, and until you face them, they control you. Samuel stared at the gun, at Marcus, at the laptop on the table. What's on the laptop? Nothing. It's a prop. There are no records, no evidence. Morrison kept nothing because she was smarter than that. This whole setup was just to get you here. To kill me? To give you a choice. Samuel's eyes narrowed. What choice? Marcus pulled an envelope from his jacket, tossed it on the table next to the laptop. Inside is a contract. You sign over Drake Holdings to my firm. Voluntary sale. Below market value, but not suspicious. You walk away with enough money to be comfortable. Live quietly. Leave the game entirely. And if I refuse? Then I pull the trigger. Make it look like suicide. Troubled billionaire overwhelmed by legal problems. Guilt over his vigilante actions. The weight of failing to save another woman like his sister. The narrative writes itself. Samuel looked at the envelope. At the gun. At Marcus's face showing no emotion at all. You won't get away with this. I already have. Your phone is here. No one knows where you are. By the time they find you, I'll be back in Montreal with an airtight alibi, and your death will just be another tragedy in a tragic story. Lena knows I came here. Lena knows you went to meet someone about me. She doesn't know where, doesn't know who. And she has no proof of anything, just like with everything else in this mess. Suspicion isn't evidence. Samuel stood very still, calculating. The gun was maybe 8 feet away. Marcus had his finger on the trigger. Military training. He wouldn't miss. You can't possibly think I'll sign that. I think you'll do whatever keeps you alive. Survival instinct is stronger than pride. Not for everyone. For everyone. When death is real and immediate and staring them in the face, everyone chooses life. It's biology. Samuel looked at the envelope again. Looked at Marcus. Made a decision. No. Marcus's expression didn't change. No. I won't sign. I won't give you my company, and I won't let you win. Then you die. Maybe. But you still don't get Drake Holdings. And without me signing voluntarily, any hostile takeover faces years of legal challenges. The board will fight. The shareholders will sue. You'll spend everything you've gained just trying to take what you want, and you might still lose. Marcus's eyes hardened. You're bluffing. I'm not. Pull the trigger. See what happens. But know this. I'd rather die than let you profit from what you did to Lena, to me, to everyone you manipulated. You're willing to die for principle? I'm willing to die free. There's a difference. They stared at each other across the room. Two men who'd worked together for 8 years, who'd built an empire together, who now stood on opposite sides of a gun that would determine everything. Marcus's finger tightened on the trigger. The door behind Samuel exploded inward. FBI agents poured in, screaming, guns drawn.
Drop the weapon! Hands up! Now! Marcus spun, tried to aim. They shot him. 3 times. Center mass. Marcus went down hard. The gun skittered across the floor. Samuel stood frozen. Hands up, not breathing. Agent Sarah Chen came through the door. Saw Samuel. Saw Marcus bleeding on the ground. Clear the room! Get paramedics up here! Agent swarmed. Kicked Marcus's gun away. Started first aid even though his eyes were already going glassy. Sarah grabbed Samuel. Are you hit? No. What the hell were you thinking coming here alone? He said, You thought you could handle it yourself, just like everything else. Sarah's face was furious. You could have died. How did you know I was here? Lena called me. Said you were meeting someone about Marcus. Said you were being an idiot. She was right. Samuel looked at Marcus, at the blood spreading beneath him, at the life leaving his eyes. Marcus saw Samuel looking, managed a smile. Bloody. Broken. You still lost, he whispered. Even if I die, you're still broken. Then his eyes went vacant. The paramedics worked on him anyway, but Samuel could see it was over. Marcus Chen was dead, and Samuel felt nothing. No triumph. No relief. Just emptiness. Sarah pulled him toward the stairs. We need to get you out of here. Crime scene investigators are coming. I need to give a statement. You will. Tomorrow. Tonight you're going somewhere safe. They took him to a federal building, put him in a room with bad coffee and worse lighting, asked him questions for 3 hours. What Marcus said, what Marcus wanted, what happened. Samuel told them everything. The confession, the choice, the moment before the door exploded inward. You were lucky, the interrogator said. 5 more seconds and you'd be dead. I know. Why didn't you call for backup? I thought I could handle it. You always think that. Samuel didn't have an answer. They let him go at 2 a.m. Lena was waiting in the lobby. She stood when she saw him, ran to him, hugged him so hard it hurt. You're an idiot, she said into his chest. I know. You could have died. I know. Don't ever do that again. I won't. She pulled back, looked at him, slapped him, hard. Samuel's head snapped to the side. His cheek burned. That's for being reckless, for going alone, for making me think I was going to lose you. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't cut it. Lena's eyes were red, furious, terrified. You don't get to play hero and die. You don't get to leave me dealing with the aftermath. You promised you'd try to come back. I did come back. Because the FBI saved you, not because you saved yourself. Samuel looked at her, at this woman who'd been through hell and was still standing, still fighting, still refusing to let anyone make choices for her. You're right, he said quietly. I know I'm right. I can't keep doing this, can't keep thinking I can control everything, can't keep throwing myself at problems like I'm bulletproof. No, you can't. I need help. Lena's expression softened. Yeah, you do. Will you help me find it? What kind of help? Therapy. Real therapy. Not just for trauma. For all of it. The guilt. The control issues. The need to save everyone because I couldn't save one person. Lena took his hand. I'll help you, but you have to actually do the work. No half measures, no pretending you're fine when you're not. Deal. They stood in the federal building lobby as dawn started breaking outside. 2 people who'd been weapons in someone else's war, choosing to be something different, choosing to heal. The weeks that followed were strange. Marcus's death made headlines. Billionaire security chief killed in FBI raid. The conspiracy unraveled in public. Morrison's corruption, the bribes, the manipulation, Torres's testimony in exchange for immunity, Garrett and Ryder's connections to it all. Drake Holdings' stock dropped, recovered, dropped again. The board called emergency meetings, demanded explanations, wanted Samuel to step down. He refused. Instead, he gave them transparency, showed them everything, the investigation, his involvement, his mistakes. Let them decide if he was fit to lead. They voted, 8-4. He stayed. But something had changed. Samuel wasn't the same CEO who'd walked into Rosie's diner 3 months ago thinking he could fix the world with money and will. He was humbler, cautious, aware of his limitations. It felt like weakness at first. Then it started feeling like wisdom. Therapy helped. Dr. Michael Reeves, specialist in trauma and grief. No-nonsense approach that cut through Samuel's defenses like a knife. "You're angry at Emily," Dr. Reeves said in their 4th session. "I'm angry at the man who killed her. He's dead. She's dead. But you're still angry." "At who?" Samuel stared at the floor. "At her. For staying. For not leaving when she could have." "Why does that make you angry?" "Because she chose him over her own life. Over me. Over everyone who loved her. She chose wrong. And it killed her." "And you think if you'd been better, stronger, more persistent, she would have chosen differently?" "I know she would have." "You don't know that. No one knows that. She made her choices for her own reasons, and those reasons died with her. You don't get closure. You don't get to fix it. You just have to live with not knowing." Samuel felt something crack. "I don't know how." "You learn, day by day, choice by choice. You learn to live with uncertainty instead of trying to control it away." It was harder than anything Samuel had ever done. Harder than building a company. Harder than facing Marcus. Harder than testifying in court. Learning to be helpless without feeling worthless. Learning to care without controlling. Learning to let go. Lena was doing her own work. Different therapist, different issues, but the same fundamental question: who am I when I'm not defined by what was done to me? They met for coffee once a week. Neutral ground. No obligations, just two people who'd survived something terrible and were trying to figure out what came next. "I'm moving to Seattle," Lena said one afternoon in December, "to be near my mom. Start over somewhere that doesn't have triggers on every corner." Samuel felt a pang. Not possession, not loss, just the sadness of goodbye. "When?" "After Christmas, after Ryder's sentencing." The sentencing had been scheduled for December 20th. Ryder was facing 20 years minimum. Garrett was facing 10. "How do you feel about it?" Samuel asked. "The sentencing or moving?" "Both." Lena stirred her coffee. "The sentencing feels necessary, like closing a book. The moving feels scary, but good scary, like jumping off a cliff into water you can't see." "You'll be okay." "I will." "What about you?" "What about me?" "Are you okay? Really?" Samuel considered the question. Really considered it. "I'm getting there. Still have nightmares. Still have days where I want to control everything. But I'm learning. Slowly." "That's all anyone can do." "Yeah." They sat in comfortable silence. Outside, New York was decorated for Christmas. Lights and tinsel and the illusion of magic. "I want to thank you," Lena said, "for everything, even the parts that were messy." "You already thanked me." "I know, but I need to say it again. You saw me when I was invisible. You cared when I thought no one would. And even though you made mistakes, even though you crossed lines, you did it because you actually gave a damn. That matters." Samuel's throat tightened. "You saved me too." "How?" "By forcing me to face what I've been running from. By refusing to be a symbol or a project. By being a person with your own will and choices. You reminded me that saving people isn't about control. It's about giving them options and respecting what they choose. Even when they choose wrong?" "Especially then," Lena smiled. "We're both disasters, aren't we? Recovering disasters. That's better than nothing." December 20th arrived. The sentencing hearing was packed. Media, victims' advocates, people who'd followed the case and wanted to see justice done. Ryder was brought in wearing prison orange. He looked smaller, diminished. The performance was gone. Just a man who'd lost everything. Judge Hendricks read the charges, the jury's verdict, the sentencing guidelines. "Mr. Cole, you have been found guilty of attempted murder, assault with intent to cause serious bodily harm, stalking, and conspiracy. These are serious crimes that caused serious harm. Do you have anything to say before I impose sentence?" Ryder stood, looked at Lena. His eyes were empty. "I loved you," he said. "I know you don't believe that. I know everyone here thinks I'm a monster, but I loved you, and I'm sorry I didn't know how to show it without breaking you." Lena's face was stone. "You never loved me. You loved owning me. There's a difference." "Maybe. I don't know anymore," Judge Hendricks cut in.
Mr. Cole, that's enough. Ms. Vale, would you like to address the court? Lena stood, walked to the front, faced Ryder directly. You took 2 years of my life. 2 years where I was so scared, so controlled, so convinced I was worthless that I forgot what it felt like to be human. You made me believe I deserved the pain, that I was the problem, and it took almost dying twice for me to realize the truth. What truth? Ryder asked. That you're small, you're pathetic, you're a weak man who needed someone smaller to feel big. And I'm done being small. I'm done being scared. I'm done giving you power over my life. I don't have power over you. No, you don't. Not anymore. And you never will again, because I'm free, and you're going to prison, and that's exactly what you deserve. Lena sat down. Judge Hendricks looked at Ryder with something like disgust. Mr. Cole, I've been a judge for 25 years. I've seen hundreds of cases like yours. Men who think love and ownership are the same thing. Men who destroy women and then claim they were provoked. Men who refuse to take responsibility for their choices. And I'm tired of it. She paused. Let the words land. I'm sentencing you to the maximum penalty allowed by law. 25 years in state prison. No possibility of parole for 15 years. And when you get out, if you get out, you will be prohibited from contacting Ms. Vale or anyone connected to her for the rest of your natural life. Do you understand? Ryder's face went white. Your Honor, please. I understand you want leniency. I understand you think this is harsh. But you tried to murder someone, twice. You stalked her, terrorized her, destroyed her sense of safety. And you did it all while claiming to love her. There is no leniency for that. Not in my courtroom. The gavel came down. Ryder was led away. He didn't look back. Garrett was sentenced next. 10 years. Accessory to everything his brother did. Samuel watched it all from the gallery. Felt the weight of months lifting. It was over. Really over. Outside, Lena was surrounded by reporters. Ms. Vale, how do you feel about the sentence? Relieved? Grateful? Ready to move forward? What's next for you? Life? Whatever that looks like. And your relationship with Samuel Drake? Lena looked at Samuel. He was standing off to the side, waiting. He's my friend. He helped me when I needed it most, and I'll always be grateful for that. But we're both moving on, separately, toward different futures. Mr. Drake, any comment? Samuel stepped forward. I'm grateful the justice system worked. I'm grateful Ms. Vale is safe. And I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned about humility, limits, and the difference between helping and controlling. That's all. He walked away before they could ask more. Lena caught up with him at his car. That was a good statement. It was honest. Same thing, Samuel smiled. Sometimes. They stood in the parking lot, December cold biting through their coats. This is goodbye, isn't it? Samuel said. For now, not forever, I'll come back to visit. Stay in touch. But yeah, this chapter is closing. I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you too, but we both need to figure out who we are when we're not in crisis mode. Yeah, Lena hugged him. Take care of yourself, Samuel Drake. You too, Lena Vale. She got in her car, drove away. Samuel stood in the parking lot watching her go. Felt grief. Felt relief. Felt ready. For what? He didn't know. But ready. The months that followed were quiet. Samuel threw himself into therapy, into work, into rebuilding his company's reputation. Drake Holdings launched a foundation. Domestic violence prevention, shelters, legal advocacy, resources for people trying to leave dangerous situations. Lena's Foundation, they called it. She gave her approval from Seattle, where she was working at a community center, helping other survivors, building a life that was entirely her own. They texted occasionally, updates, check-ins. Nothing heavy. Spring came to New York. Samuel was in his office when Rachel walked in with news. The extradition came through. Marcus's estate is being liquidated. His firm is under federal investigation. Everyone involved is facing charges. Good. There's something else. Judge Morrison's family filed a wrongful death suit against you. Samuel looked up. On what grounds? Emotional distress. Claiming your actions led to the investigation that led to her suicide. Morrison had hanged herself in her cell awaiting trial. The news had been everywhere. That's absurd.
It's also expensive. They're asking for 10 million. Samuel thought about it, about Morrison's role, about the corruption, about how she'd been a victim too in some ways, trapped in a system Marcus created. Settle. What? Settle. 5 million. To her kids, college funds, whatever they need. But it comes with a condition. What condition? They use some of it to fund judicial reform, programs to prevent corruption, oversight, transparency. Turn their mother's mistakes into something that prevents future mistakes. Rachel stared at him. You're serious? I am. That's I know, but I'm tired of fighting, tired of winning and losing and winning again. Some things need to end so new things can grow. Rachel nodded slowly. I'll make the call. Summer arrived. Samuel was sitting in his penthouse when his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Then curiosity won. Drake? Mr. Drake, my name is Jennifer Park. I'm a journalist with the Times. I'm doing a piece on domestic violence survivors and the people who help them. Lena Vale suggested I call you. Samuel sat up. Lena did? Yes. She said you'd have insights into what goes wrong when help becomes control, about the line between saving someone and taking away their agency. She thought your perspective would be valuable. I'm not sure I'm the right person. She said you'd say that. She also said you've spent the last year doing the hardest work possible, looking at your own mistakes and trying to do better. That's exactly what this piece needs. Samuel was quiet. I'll think about it. That's all I ask. She also said to tell you she's proud of you for doing the work. The call ended. Samuel sat looking at his phone. Lena was proud of him. It shouldn't matter, but it did. He called the journalist back. I'll do the interview, but I want to be honest about everything, the mistakes, the lessons, what I'd do differently. That's what I'm hoping for. The interview happened 2 weeks later. Samuel told the truth about Emily, about his savior complex, about crossing lines he shouldn't have crossed, about learning to help without controlling. The article ran in September. The headline, When Saving Someone Means Letting Go, One Billionaire's Journey from Control to Compassion. It was fair, honest, didn't pull punches about his mistakes but acknowledged his growth. The response was mixed. Some people praised him, some people condemned him, some people just shrugged. Samuel didn't care. He told his truth. The rest wasn't his to control. October brought a call from Lena. I read the article. What did you think? I think you've come a long way. I had good teachers. I'm coming to New York next month for a conference on trauma-informed care. Want to grab coffee? I'd like that. November 15th, a coffee shop in the West Village. Lena walked in looking different, lighter. Her hair was longer. Her smile was real. She wore a sweater that actually fit instead of drowning in fabric meant to hide. You look good, Samuel said. I feel good. You look different too. Different how? Less like you're carrying the world, more like you're just a person living in it. That's the goal. They caught up. Lena's work at the community center, her relationship with her mother, the life she was building, Samuel's therapy, the foundation, the slow process of forgiving himself. I met someone, Lena said. Samuel felt happy for her, genuinely. Yeah? His name is David, teacher, kind, patient, doesn't try to fix me. That's good. It is. I'm taking it slow, but it feels right. I'm glad. Lena looked at him. What about you? Anyone special? No, I'm focusing on being whole before I try to be part of a pair. Therapist says I need to learn to be comfortable alone before I can be healthy with someone else. Smart therapist. The best. They talked for 2 hours. About everything. About nothing. When it was time to go, Lena hugged him. Thank you, she said, for everything, for seeing me, for trying to help even when you got it wrong, for learning, for growing, for being human. Thank you for teaching me how. We taught each other. Yeah, we did. She left. Samuel sat in the coffee shop watching people pass by outside. Strangers living their lives, fighting their battles, making their choices. He couldn't save any of them. Didn't need to. They were saving themselves. And maybe that was the whole point. December came again. 1 year since everything started. Samuel went to Rosie's diner. It looked the same: flickering lights, worn booths, the same smell of coffee and grease. A different waitress came over, young, nervous. Name tag said Maria. Coffee? Please. She poured. Her hands were steady. Samuel looked around. The place was the same, but he wasn't. He finished his coffee, left a $50 tip, walked out into the cold December night. His phone buzzed. Lena, 1 year. We survived. He typed back. We did. Thank you for surviving with me. Thank you for learning to let me. Samuel smiled, put his phone away, walked to his car, drove home through streets that sparkled with holiday lights. In his penthouse, he opened his laptop, started writing, not a business plan, not a strategy document, a letter to Emily. He'd never written to her before, never knew what to say. But now he did. Dear Emily, I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry I didn't see the signs. I'm sorry I failed you when you needed me most. But I'm learning to forgive myself. Learning that your death wasn't my fault. Learning that love means respecting people's choices even when those choices destroy them. I met someone this year who reminded me of you, and I tried to save her the way I couldn't save you, and I almost destroyed both of us in the process. But we survived, both of us. And we're better for it. I'm better for it. I'm learning to help without controlling, to care without suffocating, to love without owning. I'm learning to be the brother you deserved instead of the savior you never asked for. I miss you. I'll always miss you. But I'm not angry anymore. Not at you, not at myself, not at the world for taking you. I'm just grateful I got to know you. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure other people like you have options you didn't. Not because I can save them, because they deserve the choice. I love you. I forgive you. I forgive me. Rest easy, sis. Your brother, Sam. He saved the letter, printed it. The next morning, he drove to the cemetery, stood at Emily's grave, read the letter out loud. Then he burned it, watched the ashes scatter in the wind, felt something release. 15 years of guilt, of rage, of trying to control what was already gone. It lifted, floated away, and Samuel stood there in the December cold, tears freezing on his face, and breathed, really breathed, for the first time in 15 years. He was free. Not because he'd saved anyone, but because he'd stopped trying to. Because he'd learned the difference between helping and controlling, between love and possession, between being a hero and being human. And being human was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Samuel drove back to the city, to his office, his foundation, his life. There were people who needed help, resources to distribute, systems to change. But he'd do it differently now. With humility, with respect, with the understanding that he couldn't fix everything, couldn't save everyone, could only show up, offer options, and trust people to save themselves. It was less satisfying than being a hero, but it was more honest, more real, more human, and that was exactly what the world needed. Not more heroes, more humans, broken, flawed, trying, learning, growing, surviving, together. Samuel Drake sat in his office overlooking Manhattan as the sun set, turning the glass towers gold and red, and felt something he hadn't felt in 15 years. Peace. Not because the war was over, but because he'd finally stopped fighting battles that were already lost. Had finally started fighting the ones that mattered, the ones inside himself. And those battles, those were winnable. One day at a time, one choice at a time, one breath at a time. He picked up his phone, sent a text to Lena. Thank you for teaching me how to let go. Her response came back quickly. Thank you for learning. That's the hardest part. Samuel smiled, set down his phone, looked out at the city, at millions of people living their lives, fighting their battles, making their choices. And for the first time in his life, Samuel Drake didn't feel the need to save them, just to honor them. Their struggles, their choices, their right to survive in their own way. That was enough. More than enough. It was everything. The war was over. And in the quiet that followed, something new could finally grow. Not salvation, not control, just connection, just humanity, just life. Raw, messy, beautiful, real. And Samuel Drake, billionaire, warrior, broken man, learning to be whole, sat in his office as night fell over New York and whispered to the darkness and the light and everything in between. I'm ready. For what? He didn't know, but ready. And that was exactly where New Beginnings lived. In the readiness, in the uncertainty, in the choice to keep breathing even when you don't know what comes next. Samuel breathed and let the future come. Whatever it held, he was ready. At last. He was ready.